boys and girls, children of all ages. The big show on the radio. Let's get it, dudes and dudettes. Let's rock and roll 4 hours of sports talk entertainment. Excellence starts right now. Great to have you. I am Rob Brown, the great with Lonzo on the other side of the metaphorical glass. This AM in charge of every single sound that will penetrate your ear holes this morning. And it is, as has been mentioned, Friday, got to get down on Friday. Not just any regular old Friday, people. It is Friday before we all enjoy licks. Super Bowl licks coming up on Sunday. Oh, yeah. Let's get to it.
It took so long to get here. I mean, I don't know how people have not lost interest.
I've lost all my interest.
2 whole weeks. I mean, why would they do that to us?
All we're talking today is NFL or NBA trade deadline. That's it. Just 4 hours of NBA trade deadline today.
You got to give the people what they want because,
want.
According to the internet, all the people hate the Chiefs. So why would we talk about a game that the Chiefs are playing in?
Snoop Dogg has some jokes for y'all last night. Snoop Dogg was getting after a little bit last night.
See, I just don't watch those kind of shows anymore.
You watch the NFL honors?
There's so much politics in every single thing. And then there's awkward jokes usually, and then they pan to people who don't even have anything to do with what's going on stage. It's just, and then I don't know if this happened last night. I did watch a couple bits of it.
Sure.
But there's always bad sound, and it makes no sense.
I did watch last night, and I got to tell you, I thought it was good. I will say this: there's a lot of things that the DOGG has hosted that he's done a really good job. Last night was not one of them. Like, there's a lot Snoop's a dude that needs to be able to come off the cuff. Snoop trying to read a prompter and tell jokes just doesn't have the same vibe to it. Like, during the Olympics, when he and Kevin Hart have done their their nightly Olympic wrap-up show on, Peacock or whatever it's on. That is actually really entertaining, but that's because you have a professional stand-up funny man and Snoop high off his gourd just telling jokes about horses dancing and doing the crip walk and whatnot, and that's really funny.
All right, see, I tuned in right before I fell asleep. I started watching, I fell asleep, and Goodell was out there with the children of Sweetness, and I think it was Cam Jordan.
Are you tuned in late?
Yeah. Well, no, it started at 9.
Yeah, but if you tuned in for the Walter Payton Award,
no, they were on early to announce that it was coming up later.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
And they were struggling with the prompter.
Jordan Jefferson came out. Justin Jefferson came out because Randy Moss was doing the Comeback Player of the Year award, but because Randy's obviously at his house, he's battling cancer right now, he did it remotely. And so to introduce Randy Moss working remotely, they brought out Justin Jefferson, and he came out and he asked for, he's like, let's show Randy Moss some love, support. He's one of the GOATs. He's one of the guys. Let's give him some love and support. And then it was time for him to actually do the introduction. And he's like, the prompter went out, guys. It just brought the whole thing to a grinding halt. They eventually got it up and running again. And listen, I don't expect NFL guys to be able to go out there and work off the cuff.
It's not on them. It's on the producers and the technical people behind the scenes. And I'm probably dooming myself for today's show. But you had all year to prepare for this one show. And I don't know if they jump from another show to this show, that they bring in crews from all over to do this, or if this is just the NFL Network crew doing it, or if it's NFL Films doing it. But I do better.
I listen. Stuff like that's going to happen. We do this show every day for 4 hours, and we still have things that go wrong sometimes. That's just the downside of doing any professional broadcast. I really didn't think, and last night I thought was exceptionally good. I thought it was a good broadcast. I thought it was, for the most part, largely entertaining. The guys are having a good time. Snoop Dogg was like, since I don't know why I'm trying to do, I can't do a Snoop impression, but Snoop's like, I've been watching the league. I remember a time when the Dallas Cowboys were good and the Kansas City Chiefs were bad, and my Pittsburgh Steelers was that and the other. And he goes, you know what that time was? Before Bill Belichick's girlfriend was born. And it's like, all right, I'm here for it. I'm here for some cheap, underhanded jokes. Let's go. I'm good with that. You had some good moments from the boys. Joey Burrow won the 2024 Comeback Player of the Year award. He gets up on the stage and he's like, well, this is an award you definitely don't want to win, and certainly don't want to be nominated for it twice. And it's like, there's some good chuckles. Snoop at one point brought up Joey B's Batman tumbler that he bought for $2.9 million. And he's like, yeah, this thing's got everything. It comes with oil slicks, comes with a grappling hook, comes with spikes that come out the back. I guess you could say Joey B's been searching for a good defense for a while. It's like, all right, I'm here for it. I'm here for some cheap burns. I'm here for some cheap pops, whatever. But like, make the show good. And honestly, I thought it was good. I thought there were a couple of guys who gave really good speeches. I thought Joey B was absolutely hilarious. I thought that, dude, I don't want to hang out with Jayden Daniels. And not just because I picked him to win the Rookie of the Year award. And he did, and I won a 17-1 ticket, and Daddy's buying some expensive bourbon today.
Stop.
I want to hang out with Jayden Daniels. They went to JD like multiple times throughout the night. They got him on the red carpet, which the wife and I went. I told her it was coming on. I'm like, hey, I'm going to watch this show later on. I was like, I understand if you don't want to watch it, but, I'm going to. I said I can stay out in the living room or in the bro cave and watch it if you want to go watch, Olivia Benson or whatever. And she's like, I had it on in the living room, and it was during they did like a 2-hour red carpet beforehand. It was like the damn Grammys. And she's like, no, I'll watch it, because they had all the celebrities coming out and all the NFL players were in their tailored suits and all that. And she's like, all right, I'll watch it. And they interviewed Jayden Daniels on the red carpet pregame, and the dude is just like the definition of chill, right? Like he doesn't try. And ordinarily when we say somebody doesn't try, usually that's an insult. But there's just those guys that are just like, they're just effortlessly cool. They're just effortlessly cool. And that's this guy. And I look at him, and I was really thinking about this, because Joey B's the same way, right? Just like effortlessly cool. He's kind of a goofball, but he's also got riz. Like, he's just effortlessly cool. And I started thinking about the top QBs around the league. Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. I'm putting Jayden Daniels in that conversation. I don't care what you say. I was thinking about the top QBs in the league.
I would say slow your roll. Let's see him do it, because remember, C.J. Stroud was the man 2 years ago.
I mean, that's absolutely fair.
Let's see what the sophomore season's like.
That's absolutely fair, and I'm not going to press you back on it, but to me, and this is also, I understand that there is the potential that I have an unrecognized bias in the noggin because I'm just a big Jayden Daniels fan. I also saw stuff out of Jayden Daniels I haven't seen out of a rookie quarterback since Lamar Jackson. Like, Jayden Daniels just did more than C.J. Stroud. And that's not an insult to C.J. Stroud. That's just how good Jayden Daniels was. But I was thinking about the top quarterbacks in the league. I'm talking about Lamar. I'm talking about Josh Allen. I'm talking about Patrick Mahomes. I'm talking about Joey Ice Ice Baby Joe Burrow. When I think about the top QBs in the league, Zoe, are any of them, and I'm going to ask you to set aside your whatever personal opinions on Josh Allen and all that, and look at it from a 36,000-foot view. Are there any of, and when I say top quarterbacks, I mean top quarterbacks, top notch, top flight, Super Bowl threat quarterbacks. Are there any of them active right now that aren't just cool, man? Like, they're just cool. They're just cool guys. I don't have anything that I'm like defining cool. I think setting definitions in any conversation is super important. I don't have one for this word. I think cool, somebody being cool, it's just one of those things that they are or they aren't. I don't know how to define what makes a guy cool or not. They're just somebody go, that dude's cool, or yeah, he's not very cool. All of the top quarterbacks, they just seem cool. And I don't know how to quantify that. I don't know what I can do with that information. I don't know how to put that down on a scout sheet where if I'm looking for QBs coming out of college that I might want to draft, and I go, all of the top quarterbacks in the NFL are cool. I don't know how to quantify
Here's
that.
the thing. Cool is a broad brush. I mean, because my cool and your cool could be something totally different. So what you think is cool, I may think is annoying or arrogant.
I mean, we all know that already. Like, we have guys that we both, that's where we are. But I do think that there is a classic definition of American cool, right? You're talking about the dude that's like, he's attractive, he's got the good hair, he's effortless in conversation, he's got the vibe. There are people that you and I are going to think are very cool that mainstream America aren't. There's a bunch of guys in mainstream America thinks are cool that you and I are like, that dude sucks. What are we doing here?
You just described Travis Kelce.
I think Travis Kelce for a long time was in that conversation. I think a lot of people are beginning to feel like Travis Kelce is kind of forced. And that's not Travis Kelce's fault, or it is. I don't know.
I'm glad you brought up that word.
Forced?
Yeah, because that's exactly Josh Allen. Forced by everyone. Should not have won the MVP this year. Should have went to Saquon Barkley. It's forced. He was so forced this year. He was forced last year too, but they doubled down this year and tried to force him even more.
I would be curious because I've said this before. It is one of the few times I just respectfully flat out attack your standing up on a conversation.
Okay, and you're wrong, but you go ahead.
That's fine. That's fine.
Your name's on the show. I mean you can attack me. I could take it.
Stop.
I'm wearing winning colors today.
Stop.
So I mean,
not attacking you, attacking your position. Those are different things. I can attack a position and still love Lonzo, and I do. But I can attack the position.
According to politicians, that's not possible.
Well, politicians are dumb and we all don't like them, right? Like, isn't that where we've all landed? All politicians are dumb and we don't like them. I think I think this is actually a talent that Americans have lost. I think we've kind of developed this attitude around the country that if you attack a position I hold, that you're attacking me. And that's not the same thing. Attacking a belief or a position is attacking the belief in the position. I have plenty of friends that I despise where they stand on certain issues, but I still like them as a person. This is why Lonzo made a joke yesterday when we went off the air, but we were still on the stream, about how if you want to have a conversation about politics and sports, keep it away from me, but you can talk to Rob because he likes that. I do, because I can hold a 180-degree position from you on certain things and attack your position, but still respect you and like you as a friend. I think we've kind of lost that a little bit.
Really, that's the suit he chose. I mean,
he's the one. He's just in a black suit.
Come on, dude.
There's no obligation to show up and show out.
Remember who's on your arm. I mean, you got to make sure of that.
I don't know, Alonzo. I don't know if you know this or not. I know you do because I think Miss Lisa's in this group, but I could be wrong. Some ladies like just a classic slick suit. One of the biggest fights I have with my wife is that when we go to stuff like this, I'm like, yo, where's my jacket with the sequins on it? And she's like, can't you just wear a navy suit? Can't you just wear a khaki suit? Can't you just wear a black suit?
I've witnessed that.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
She likes a classic old school American suit. I, on the other hand, want to walk into the room and light it up like a disco ball. And that's like we have to compromise. Now what I traditionally am in now, unless we're going to like pick up our fourth SCBA award.
I was going to say right now you're wearing tie-dye.
So I am wearing tie-dye.
She hates some country artist.
It is. It's Dwight Yoakam.
Oh.
It's Dwight Yoakam. She hates this shirt, which is why I wear it in the mornings when I come here.
Yoakam boys.
I think that I think a lot of people with the Josh Allen position is the guy's cool. I think Alonzo dislikes him because he is considered by obviously he's not, as he is once again home this weekend, and Patrick Mahomes is once again in the Super Bowl this weekend. I think Zoe just doesn't like him because he's the only quarterback in the league that threatens Mahomes' monopoly on great quarterback.
I don't care about that. I mean, Patrick Mahomes had an off season this year. and they're still in the Super Bowl. I don't care. I don't like people pushing someone so much. They want them to win so much, not because they're a good guy or anything, just because they want to be right. And they've been wrong for 2 years. And they're going to continue to be wrong. And sometimes you play in an era where there's someone better than you that you cannot get past.
Genuine question.
Deal with it.
If Josh Allen was in the NFC, how many, if any, Super Bowls has he gone to? If he's in the NFC, how many Super Bowls, if any?
I know. What team is he on?
If I took the exact same team, if I took the Bills and I flipped them with, let's say, I don't know, pick your favorite NFC team you want to get rid of. If I took Josh Allen's Bills, and over the past, let's say, 6 years, since Mahomes kind of like came out on the scene, if I took Josh Allen's Bills and his rookie year, they were in the NFC. Let's flip them with the Buccaneers. They're in the NFC South. How many Super Bowls has Josh Allen gone to with the exact same team, exact same setup, but he's in the NFC?
First of all, unrealistic that he would be in the South because South is horrible. I was thinking Seattle. So in my scenario,
wait, I said the NFC South. And so you put him in the furthest west team in the league.
So I'm going to put him in Seattle because he seems like
not him, the Bills. Yeah, same team.
Yeah. No,
everything
the
same.
I know, but their leader, that guy, seems like a guy who would be in the coffee shops, every day.
Josh Allen's a coffee shop guy.
Oh, look at him! Come on, that's a cafe guy any day. I think that would be awesome. I love your scenario. That would be great. He still would be being pushed, and then he would lose in the Super Bowl every year. So that would be even better.
I didn't say how many would he win. I said how many would he go to.
Hey, that's fine. He would go to the Super Bowl, and he would lose in the Super Bowl. Which is worse, losing where he's losing or going to the Super Bowl and losing? I don't know. At least you made it there. I think the loss would be worse if you're in the Super Bowl than it is in the playoffs.
That's fair. It's fair. I think if Josh Allen's in the NFC, I think he's gone to 4 Super Bowls so far. Honestly, and probably, he's gone to 4. It might be 0-4 in him.
Yeah.
But he's gone to 4. I think he would have been in the Hall. I think Allen v. Mahomes would have been a Super Bowl rematch like 4 times so far. He might be 0-4. Maybe he's not. Mahomes has lost. He's lost 1. Granted, it was to Tom Brady, but he lost 1.
He also lost his tackles before then.
Also true. I mean, maybe he's like 1-3. I think Josh Allen over in the NFC is probably in multiple Super Bowls. But that being said, I'm watching the quarterback slide. I'm watching Josh Allen. I'm watching Lamar. I'm watching all these. I'm watching Joey B.
I don't think Lamar was there.
Well, I'm talking about he was not there, but I'm talking about just like the overall concept of watching these guys. And I look at the guys who are the top flight QBs in the league, and I'm like, they're all just cool. Like they're movie football player stereotypes. And I wonder if there is a way that you can translate that from college up to the next level and be like, this dude is just cool. Because I think being cool in public scenarios, honestly, it's like big ones like last night.
Out of all the ones you listed, there's only one cool enough to be in the movies, cool enough to be everywhere, the coolest guy in all the NFL.
Joe Burrow.
That's Joe Burrow.
I don't disagree with that. Joe B is the coolest one. Josh, but also I think we kind of feel that way because he is kind of a dork too, which for us is cool.
Goes back to perspective about cool.
I don't disagree. But I wonder if there's a way to translate that cool in societal settings to cool under pressure on the football field. It's an abstract thing. I understand. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
The thing that you didn't push yesterday, please push today because air checks are required, and I couldn't do one yesterday.
The thing? Okay. Remind me when we get close to it.
I reminded you 3 times yesterday.
Oh! I'm thinking the thing you asked me to come around there and push if necessary.
No, I'm talking about contest.
Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up though, because I forgot about that, and I'm going to go ahead and check that.
Yeah, I'll do that. In fact, I'll just do that right now. We haven't done it.
Wow. A lot of space on the tail end there.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare,
I'm guessing it hasn't recorded yet.
Oh no, it does. It probably hasn't because
I think you said it records at 7:10, I believe. We went over when they record.
Trey, I'm not going to a Fish concert today. As a matter of fact, on the shirt, is country music icon of the 1990s, Dwight Yoakam. One of my favorite artists of all time.
And he and his brothers are bullies from what I understand. Talked about this before, how they beat up my cousin's drummer all the time growing up. And he would try to avoid them Yoakam boys. I'm just saying. I mean, look at Dwight Yoakam. That dude definitely was a bully, okay? And a bully because his brothers were with him. You know that kind of bully? Really tough when his brothers are with him?
Yeah,
that's that guy.
We talked about that guy the other day. That guy that takes his shirt off, but as soon as the bouncer shows up, he's like, oh, yeah, hold me back.
Yeah, that's him.
Hold me back. I'd have beat your ass, but the bouncer got in the way.
Yep.
Guitars and Cadillacs and hillbilly music.
He was also like the bad guy from Sling Blade, which I think was pretty accurate to what, I mean, I don't know.
Sling Blade.
You don't remember that he was the bad guy, wasn't he? When Dwight Yoakam the bad guy in Sling Blade?
I'm gonna keep it a buck. I don't think I've seen Sling Blade.
I've seen bits and
since the
pieces,
90s.
but I've seen the bits and pieces of him being a bad guy, if I'm correct. That was a long time ago.
I don't think I've seen that movie since like the late 90s.
But everyone still references,
Let's see. Dwight Yoakam was indeed Doyle Hargraves.
Doyle. I mean,
now what else was Dwight Yoakam in? I completely
he's an
forgot
actor.
that.
He's been in a lot of stuff.
For sure. Apparently, let's see. Where is it? I'm looking for his I bet he has an IMDb. I could check.
Yeah, that's what you're looking at.
Let's see. One of his first roles was a recurring role in the 1991 CBS crime drama P.S. I Love You, spelled I-L-U-V letter U. He also had a role in the 1993 movie Red Rock West. Yoakam portrayed rancher Mac Brazel in the TV movie Roswell in 1994. Billy Bob Thornton cast him in Sling Blade in 96. Yoakam and the rest of the film's cast nominated in 97 for a SAG Outstanding Performance by a Cast. He was in the Newton Boys in 1998, A Long Way Home, and then in 1999 was in The Minus Man. Co-wrote, directed, and starred in a Western film titled South of Heaven, West of Hell. Never heard of that. Kind of want to go find it.
It's in Michigan.
In 2002, Yoakam had a role in the David Fincher movie Panic Room. Didn't know that. Also appeared in Banditas, The Three Barriers. I don't know that movie. He was in Wedding Crashers? Oh, we got onto I do know exactly how we got onto a Dwight Yoakam kick. I'm literally wearing a Dwight Yoakam shirt. And then Lonzo reminded me, or I guess I should say informed me, because I haven't seen this movie since the late 90s, but Dwight Yoakam was the bad guy in Sling Blade, which now I have to go back and watch Sling Blade. Also found out that Dwight Yoakam apparently had a pretty and relatively healthy acting career through the late 90s into the mid-20 teens. You learn something new every day here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Okie doke, kids. We are talking about the big game TM. We are talking about, of course, Super Bowl licks down in New Orleans, Louisiana. Here's what I'd like to do today on the show. I would like to find out. This is a classic text poll question of the day. And we're going to make this one real easy, okay? We're going to make this one real easy with today's text poll of the day. I'm going to fire this thing up today at 6:30. We are going to take it all the way to 9:30. Here is your question of the day, ladies and gentlemen. Who you got? Real simple. Who you got? I'm going to set the poll. Actually, I'm going to set it to end at 9:40 a.m. You have until then to get your votes in. Who you got? I'm going to give you 4 options here. Yes, there's only 2 teams. But obviously, you got to pick. Obviously, I don't have enough spaces on my little thing here to allow you to pick your final score. So here's what I'm going to have you do. You can vote one of 4 ways. One of 4 ways.
4 waves.
You can vote this way. Chiefs many, Chiefs few, Eagles many, Eagles few. I'm using many and few because of the shocking amount of people that I have found out that don't understand that a lot is 2 words, not one.
Okay, I was going to say when you said many, I thought M-I-N-I.
No, M-A-N-Y.
Okay, all right.
But I have found out via the wonderful world of social media that a lot of people don't know that a lot is 2 words. It's a space L-O-T, not A-L-O-T.
I think you should blame texting more so than social media.
I blame the education system of the United States of America.
Well, you could do that too, for sure.
So here is your poll question of the day. Who you got? Here are your vote options. And all you got to do is send your vote to 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. I am opening the poll lineup in 20 seconds. All right. So you can get it typed up now. 844-326-3663. You have 4 voting options for today's text poll question of the day, which is who you got in Super Bowl licks. Your 4 options are Chiefs many, if you think the Chiefs are going to win by a many points. Chiefs few, if you think the Chiefs are only going to win by a few points. Eagles many, if you think it's a big dub for the Birds. Or Eagles few, if you think the Eagles are just going to scrape one by over the Chiefs. That is our question of the day. It is active in 3, 2, 1. I forgot to push the right button. There it goes. The campaign is active now. 844-326-3663. 844-FAN-FONE. Your 4 voting options are Chiefs by many. Oh, excuse me. Chiefs many. You don't have to put the word by. Chiefs many. Chiefs few. Eagles many. Eagles few. Are the Chiefs going to smoke Philly? Are they going to squeak by Philly? Is Philadelphia going to rock Kansas City? Or is Philly just going to scrape by maybe a last-second tush push from the one gets in for a Birds win? Chiefs many, Chiefs few, Eagles many, Eagles few. That is your options today. Who do you got in Super Bowl licks? Here are the texts we've gotten so far, Alonzo. Chiefs few, Chiefs few, Eagles few, Eagles few, Chiefs few, Eagles few, Chiefs few, refs. Those are the texts we've got so far on the show. Thank you to whoever sent.
Only one goober so far. Okay.
Yes, but it was the first goober. It was the first one we got was refs. I read those back in the wrong order.
Okay.
Mainly because I knew if I read refs last, that was going to be the funniest.
It was.
And it was what? And it was.
You were right.
And it was. Let's see here. How can you say that someone is cool you don't know on a personal level? Just how they appear? That's from Eric. Yeah, I think so. I think that's kind of how we judge celebrities, right? Like we don't know, and this is true. I've done the research. We don't know most people. I don't know most people. I only know the image that is presented to us. And I can say that one of the reasons that I do my best not to develop celebrity crushes is because I've worked in public relations. The people who work in public relations are very good at public relations. They are very, very good at being able to craft and push an image. Okay. But I think at the end of the day, crafting and pushing a public image is one thing. That person still has to be able to get in front of microphones or cameras or the press or the public or whatever and be that person, right? And I think with guys like Joe Burrow accepting his award last night, right? Joey B gets up there. He accepts his award for NFL Comeback Player of the Year. And the first line when he gets up in front of the mic, and I don't have it memorized exactly, but it was something to the tune of, "Welp, this is probably the only award that you don't want to win and definitely don't want to be nominated for twice." And it's like, that's a good line. It's a good, fun throwaway line. And then he gives credit to the, we go straight to giving credit to the training staff of the Bengals. He gives credit to his doctors. That is something that I have struggled with for a very long time, is when people go through medical issues and procedures and it's like they think everybody but their doctors, right? It's like, yeah, those people work a lot to get where they were to be able to heal you. But blah, 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 blah. He gave a speech. I was like, damn, that dude's cool. And then he's doing stuff like buying Batmobiles with his money. I see these dudes that go out there and they're buying like $2.9 million watches. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Joey B probably made the first nearly $3 million purchase by an NFL player that's not real estate that I went, yeah, I'd have done that too.
Yeah,
I'd have done that.
Done the story like a week or so before that they were going on sale, and figured it would be someone would buy one of them that you've never heard of before. And then it ended up being him.
I think that I think the concept of determining someone you don't know is cool or not, it is certainly dangerous, because yes, we're seeing it right now in not to bring pop culture into this, but this whole Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds situation that's playing out right now. If you've been following that at all, it's kind of ugly. And I got to tell you, as much as I appreciate everything he's done for those of us that are dorks out here in the real world, Ryan Reynolds, and this, I guess, is kind of the cautionary tale. Ryan Reynolds, who I think is a dude that most of us, at least on the where sports and dorks crossover list, have thought Ryan Reynolds is real cool. Turns out that might be an image. That might be a brand thing, because the lawsuit going on between Blake Lively, his wife, and he, and one of Blake Lively's co-stars from her last movie.
He was also the director.
And the director.
Yeah, well, the guy was the director, co-star. The thing is, the rumor has been forever that Ryan Reynolds is a jerk, and he's had problems with people in the past, including the one guy from the first and second Deadpool, the guy who was in the bar. I forget his name. Yeah,
I think that. It turns out that guy's a scumbag.
Okay,
TJ, whatever his name is. Yeah, he got hit with a lot of verified sexual assault claims. Turns out I think it's TJ Miller, is a scumbag and a terrible person and deserves to be under the jail.
I just know. And then Wesley Snipes, classically, supposedly.
Yeah, but I think Wesley Snipes has problems with a lot of people. I think Wesley Snipes has problems with most people who aren't Wesley Snipes. Not mad at him for it, because I also want to be Wesley Snipes, but I get it. Point here is, turns out Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, they actually might be kind of turds in real life, which, again, crafted image. When I think about NFL quarterbacks, though, and this is one thing that I think is kind of the difference here, is that with celebrities, by and large, whenever you see a celebrity do a media appearance, they're in control of it, right? You see them pop up on late night talk shows, and they pop up on red carpet interviews and all that. By and large, they are in complete control of that. I did that for not high level celebrities, but I was in charge of a TV news station for a hot minute. And even minor level celebrities, when they're going to come through and do a so-and-so live in studio, they're sending you you may ask, you may not ask. And if you break any of these, we're walking off set and you're going to look bad. They are in control of that image. I would make the argument that very rarely are professional athletes genuinely in complete control. When Joey B goes up to the podium in a post-game presser and he's taking questions from the media, that is unscripted. Now, the media person, if they go too far, sure, they can get blacklisted and never be allowed in the building or whatever, blah, 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 blah. But most of the times, teams don't want to do that. And so quarterbacks have to sit up there and do the post-game interviews and do the press conferences, all that, totally unscripted. And when a guy can go through all that and come across like Joey B, come across like Lamar, like Josh Allen, like Patrick Mahomes, whatever, I think we look and we go, that guy's cool. That guy's a cool guy. And I wonder if there is anything to that we could take and quantify and qualify and utilize it as a metric for picking future superstars like Jayden Daniels. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. The Dallas Mavericks play their first home. Was that on?
That's my fault.
No, it's not. That's mine.
But you should listen. And if you don't hear anything,
I had taken my headphones off.
Yeah. No, but you took your headphones off. If you don't hear anything out of these speakers,
oh yeah, I get it.
Then the mic's still on.
The Dallas Mavericks play their first game back in Dallas tomorrow afternoon. That's now must-see TV, right? Because Dallas fans might lose their bleeping minds. And I'm here for that.
Ricky Rudd and Ralph Mooney all being enshrined. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate. Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your sports flash on The Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. No significant traffic delays through the upstate this early Friday morning. 85 is clear and running at posted speed. 85.
Someone earlier asked about this jersey. This jersey is Anthony Fasano. Proof that I've been a Chiefs fan a very long time. Also, it fits. And unfortunately, I put on some weight that I'm trying to get rid of. And my Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes jerseys look like the actual jerseys when they put them on, so tight that they have to do the thing. So I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to subject myself or you to that. I also have a Marcus Allen jersey that I look at and go, why did I wear that thing out? I mean, it's just like all the numbers are peeling off, and I wore it so much back in the day.
All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-359-3434. 800-359-3434.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Blaupunkt America, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability.
According to Adam Schefter, which means he was handed a memo, winning MVP is more important to Bills quarterback Josh Allen than most. Allen collects a $1.5 million bonus for winning the NFL MVP.
No wonder he was all smiley last night.
Yeah. I'd look cool too if I knew I just
made a milli by being me.
and a half. So I'd be willing to take the half.
You're damn right.
AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call.
The arrogance of someone to put that in their contract.
That's 100% a team.
If I win an MVP, you have to pay me this
I will
much.
tell you right now, if I thought I could get away with it and I could get the boss downstairs, hey, for every SCBA Show of the Year award we get, I get a bonus. 100%, I'd push that. I might go down there today and be like, hey, if we get another one,
No, you won't.
what do you say about $1.5 million bonus? All right, let's jump into some Super Bowl licks coverage, shall we? I want to talk about a couple of different numbers, stats, thoughts, tactics, styles, strategies, etc., etc., etc. Henry McKenna is an NFL analyst for CBS Sports. He had a breakdown on Saquon Barkley, the Philadelphia Eagles, and what makes their offense so interesting and dangerous.
Quarterbacks win most valuable player. That's just how it is. The Eagles needed Saquon Barkley to be the centerpiece of the offense in a way that there is literally no other offense in the NFL that focuses on a running back like this. Not Derrick Henry, because Lamar Jackson is there. This is literally an offense built around a running back. We don't see that in the NFL anymore. He's one of one, and the Eagles' offense is unique. And yes, quarterbacks are crushing it right now. They're going to keep crushing it. But what Saquon did was different. What Saquon is different.
So I don't necessarily know that we needed the soundbite of an NFL analyst to tell anybody that Saquon's different, that Saquon's one of one this year. And again, we'll see if it becomes a year-over-year reality for the Birds.
They just wanted to showcase their cool music. That's all it was.
I mean, it is cool background music. I don't think we needed any sort of expert to tell anybody with a pair of eyeballs that Saquon Barkley's one of one. He's a dog. He's a dude. He's different. And that Saquon Barkley is special. Of course he is. Saquon Barkley is the cat that is so good, he's in that category of, and I really do think there's not but a very few number of running backs in the league that you can say this about. There are quarterbacks you can say it about. Mahomes is one of them. Allen is one of them. Jackson is one of them. Burrow's one of them. That you can know exactly who they are. You can know exactly what they're going to do. And unless you just have absolutely elite playmakers, you're still going to have a real hard time stopping them. There's not a ton of running backs in that category, in my opinion. I really think if I had to narrow it down, I could say Saquon's at the top of that list. I'd put Derrick Henry kind of on, honestly, even Derrick Henry, I'd say is probably on the fringe of that list. Jahmyr Gibbs is kind of like on the fringe of that list. Maybe Josh Jacobs. I think that was probably more true a couple of years ago than the last two. But I think the point here is, if I was asking you what running backs would you say are on a list of guys that you can know exactly who they are, exactly where they're going, exactly what they're going to do, and you still can't stop them, the list of guys that is definitively on that list is Saquon Barkley, maybe Derrick Henry. Maybe that's it. What's interesting about it, though, and what McKenna pointed out in that take, was that unlike Derrick Henry, unlike Jahmyr Gibbs, unlike Josh Jacobs, unlike anybody else that we would say is on that list or is a threat to make that list, the Eagles' offense features Saquon, and everybody else, including Jalen Hurts, is the next option down. Is that a bad take? I don't think that's a bad take. Everybody else is not the feature, is not the focal point. I think that Saquon Barkley is. This is why I pointed out a number of times when I was giving you my 6 keys to the game. I gave you 6 keys that I think you can look at, and at the end of the game Sunday night, we'll be able to attach a number to each of these 6 keys. The 6 keys were, for Philadelphia, stop the run game. Stop. Not slow it down. Stop Kareem Hunt. Make Patrick Mahomes be a dog. Make Patrick Mahomes be a guy. For Kansas City, win the variables, win the margins, win the turnover battle, win the penalties battle, even if it's going to cause controversy, win the penalties battle. For Philadelphia, it's make A.J. Brown a star. Make him a stud, make him a dude, make him the guy. You got to go to him, and you got to go to him a bunch. For Kansas City, fast-paced offense. Get the ball out, get the ball out, get the ball out, get the ball out. For Philadelphia, stop the blitz. Do not let Steve Spagnuolo determine what your offense looks like with his blitzing.
Oh, so
I
close.
know.
That was so
I know.
close.
I was rolling through it. And the number one key to the game, the thing I wrote down before I wrote down anything else, was not stop Saquon Barkley. It was limit Saquon Barkley. Hayden Asmario was on the show yesterday. He said, if you can keep Saquon Barkley to just 100 yards and a touchdown, 95 yards and a touchdown, you got a real good chance of winning this game. And I agree with that entirely, because Saquon Barkley is the only running back in the NFL that is the offense. And so to take it back to something else I talked about earlier in the week, I went back to the AFC Championship game against the Buffalo Bills. And I have said a couple of times, I absolutely believe, all things considered, I would even be, I think, yeah, I'd be willing to say the Bills should have won that game. Honestly, I think the Bills should have won that game. I think the Bills shot themselves in the foot. I think the Bills slammed the door on their own genitalia because you had a running back in James Cook who I told Lonzo leading up to that week, I'm going to tell you right now, James Cook's the guy. He's underappreciated. He should be on that list of guys. On the fringe of that list of guys, but on the fringe of that list of guys. James Cook's a dog. James Cook came into this game and racked up 85-plus yards on 13 carries, and then the Bills just stopped giving him the football. This is the other reason I said, if I'm the Bills, I'm letting McDermott go. You're telling me you got a guy that you watch carry the ball 13 times for 85 yards, and you stopped using him? You just stopped? I'm gonna need that explained to me. I know ball. I don't know why that was the case. What's the difference between Philadelphia and Kansas City? Well, number one, as good as James Cook is, and I was promoting James Cook all season. Getting to the playoffs and me saying I'd watch out for James Cook in the AFC title game was not a new take. I had been promoting that guy all season long. The difference, however, is twofold. Number one, in Buffalo, James Cook is the variable that keeps a defense on its toes, acting and playing honestly so that Josh Allen can do Josh Allen things. In Philadelphia, it's the other way around. In Philadelphia, Jalen's the guy that's got to do enough to make a defense play back so that Saquon Barkley has time to do Saquon Barkley things. Number two, when it came down to gut wrench time, Buffalo said, yeah, we're going to stop giving the ball to James Cook, and we're going to try to make Josh Allen do everything, or let Josh Allen do everything, or whatever you want to call it. I have said before, and I'll say again, I think if this game gets late into the contest, and hell, even if we go into the fourth quarter and the Birds are trailing the Chiefs by a couple of touchdowns, they are still going to give the ball to Saquon Barkley because Saquon Barkley is a home run threat. This stat blew my mind yesterday. Saquon Barkley's average yards per touchdown this year, Lonzo, was over 25. Just sit with that for a second. Just let that stir around in the noggin for a second. When Saquon Barkley found the end zone in 2024, it was on average from 25 or more yards away. That is unreal. That's an unreal number. He's a home run threat from literally anywhere on the football field this year. There's no spot he's not a threat.
That also points out that once he gets past a certain level of the defense, he's really fast.
He's untouchable. He's not just fast, he's strong as hell too, right? That dude's got quads as big around as my shoulders. He's unbelievable. So when I talk about Saquon Barkley, and I guess this is kind of what makes the Jalen Hurts conversation very interesting for me. I was watching yesterday, scrolling around on social media while I was waiting for the NFL Honor Show to start up, was hanging out with the wife, and like good millennial relationships, we sit on opposite sides of the couch and we scroll social media, finding memes to send each other from 2 feet away, because that's what adults do. And so we were sitting there scrolling social media, and I came across a conversation. I wish I could remember who it was. I feel bad about not, but it is what it is. Conversation between a couple of media personalities. I think they were a couple of the NFL Net guys. And one of them said, there is nothing right now that Jalen Hurts can do to be placed into the conversation with Patrick Mahomes, with Josh Allen, with Lamar Jackson. The other guy on the other side of the couch said, yo, Jalen Hurts is on his way to his second Super Bowl in 3 years. Josh Allen hasn't been to one at all. Lamar Jackson hasn't been to one at all. Joe Burrow's been to one, but only one. It was a few years back, and he lost it. And the other guy said, let me ask you this right now. If I was to take Jalen Hurts off this team and just put a nondescript, creative player who was an average NFL quarterback, not good, just average, how much different does this team look this year? And I was able to come up with one. The tush push isn't as effective.
I was going to say, can they tush push?
Yeah. The tush push isn't as effective. That play works for two reasons. Number one, physics. Thanks, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Shout out. And number two, because Jalen Hurts squats 1 billion pounds. Okay? That's why that works. The only thing that would be different is the Eagles' tush push would not work as well. Outside of that, he said, would the team be that different? And I sat there and I was thinking about this because one of my dear friends that lives here in the area, big Birds guy, and we've been texting all week about the Super Bowl. And I texted him and I'm like, hot take. If I took Jalen Hurts off this team and I put an average NFL quarterback on it, whoever is the most average quarterback in the NFL, not good, not bad, just average. I said, hot take. The Birds would have a couple more losses because you would lose the tush push, because the tush push wouldn't work without Jalen Hurts. But the team by and large would look exactly the same. And he, as a Birds fan, said, I actually agree with that. That is because this team is centered on Saquon Barkley. That is the reason that I have said a couple of times. The Chiefs were very fortunate against the Bills that Sean McDermott, for whatever reason, in big-time games, just like spazzes out. The Eagles aren't going to do that. I can give Nick Sirianni credit for one thing, if nothing else. And that one thing is there's never a spot where he forgets we should probably give the ball to Saquon Barkley. We should probably give the ball to the man in the backfield. There's no spot where they say, hey guys, Saquon's got 85 yards on 13 carries. We should let Jalen Hurts throw more. That doesn't happen. The only way Jalen Hurts is throwing more is if it is very late in the fourth quarter and the Eagles are down a couple of scores. Even if it's late in the fourth quarter and they're only down a single score, it's still Saquon time. Because he can break one anywhere on the football field in a way that nobody else can. I can't let Jalen Hurts be the hero with Saquon Barkley in the backfield. In fact, the only time that I would say I feel comfortable making Jalen Hurts play hero ball, great one, is if the Eagles are down a score and there's like 1 minute left to play and they're out of timeouts, right? Like there's no way to stop the clock. That doesn't include an incompletion or whatever.
Although, depending on where they are on the field, you just pointed out 25 yards out. I mean,
yeah,
his average. I mean, if the defense is playing a certain way and you know you got him, don't you take a chance?
Yeah. The only way that Saquon Barkley becomes my second option to Jalen Hurts in any situation is if it is like dead last minute of the fourth, we're down a score and we're a ways out. That's it. It's the only way. Outside of that, Saquon's the guy. So if James Cook was cooking, and he was, Saquon can cook. If the Eagles just give the ball to Saquon Barkley, turn around, put it into the gut of the guy who got you here, I think they can win this football game. We're going to give you our official picks later on in the show. The text poll question of the day is up right now, 844-326-3663. Who you got? Your options are Chiefs mini, if you think they're going to win by a lot. Chiefs few, if you think they're going to skirt by Philly. Eagles mini, if you think they blow Mahomes out of the water, or Eagles few, if you think it's a one-score game somewhere along the line. Chiefs mini, Chiefs few, Eagles mini, Eagles few. Text your answer to 844-326-3663. Let's find out who the upstates got in Super Bowl licks. Now let's find out what's going on in the world of sports with this sports flash.
Very professional. Well done.
Thank you.
The NFL handed out its season awards last night and announced its 2025 Hall of Fame class. The most valuable player award went to Bills quarterback Josh Allen, while Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell won Coach of the Year. The Rams' Jared Verse won Defensive Rookie of the Year, while Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels won on the offensive side. Joe Burrow is the comeback player of the year. Saquon Barkley is offensive player of the year. And Patrick Surtain II is defensive player of the year. Tight end Antonio Gates, cornerback Eric Allen, defensive end Jared Allen, and wide receiver Sterling Sharp headlined the smallest Hall of Fame class since 2005. Adam Vinatieri, Eli Manning, and Luke Kuechly all missed out in their first year of eligibility. Hey, tune in tomorrow at 4 p.m. as the Furman Paladins take on the Chattanooga Mocs. It's Furman versus Chattanooga right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. The Fan, upstate. Springs Road. Lotus Court.
QC Kinetics. We put in those treatments, then it sends out like little signalers to your body. We're able to make the body focus on the areas that need the most healing.
QC Kinetics has gathered brilliant medical minds like Dr. Caravelli and Dr. Mitchell Scheinka, a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine, to lead the way in these innovative pain treatments.
So at QC Kinetics, we have a whole team working nationwide, cutting-edge research to reach our patients and treat them, and know that
gas prices and inflation. The whole world is going to hell, but that doesn't matter cause Joe Hendry won the belt. Joe Hendry won the belt. Everyone, I want to hear you.
Joe Hendry won the belt. Joe Hendry won the belt. Joe Hendry won the belt.
Joe Hendry, when he's not the champion, get up and say. But Joe Hendry won the belt. Come on, everyone. Joe Hendry won the belt. There you go. Let's go. Joe Hendry won the belt. Let me hear you. Let's get those hands together. Joe Hendry won the belt.
Joe Hendry won the belt.
Way to go.
Joe Hendry won the belt.
So Joe Hendry, is he cool? Or
Yes.
is he just arrogant as all get out?
No, he's cool.
I think
You can be arrogant.
No, I think he's very cool. And I think he seems humble, even though all he does is talk about himself. I mean,
Have you ever watched any of his like podcast interviews?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Here's the thing. I watched one the other day. He was talking about the conversation he had with Cena. And he was like, I'm going to wrestle John Cena this year. And the podcaster was like, that's like the biggest name in wrestling history. Why do you think you're going to get in the ring with him? And he had this conversation about a conversation he had with Cena. And he was like, I wasn't going to bother him. He came up to me and was like, I love what you're doing. I think you're fantastic, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that seems like a dumb thing to lie about. Right. Yeah. So I'm going to believe him that happened.
Oh, he's out there saying he wants to, not only does he want to wrestle Cena, he wants to wrestle him on TNA.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, what a push for TNA that would be.
Oh, it'd be enormous. And I think, now obviously with the partnership, I think they'd let him if Cena wanted to do it.
That seems like something that Cena would do.
And I think he'd let Hendry go over. Cena strikes me as the dude who's going to lay down for a lot of young talent until he gets
on his way out. Yeah.
I think he'll get it. And the
Except for an
question is-
elimination chamber. He's going to win elimination chamber, right?
See, I think they're just going to do the story they did with
Cody.
With Cody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he'll get it. Now, the question is, does he get it, lay it in the ring, and walk out? Or does he let somebody else take it and get the rub? Off we go into our number 2 here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Rob the Great One Lonzo and you on a Friday morning. Second hour of the show means you are less than 1 hour away from having to get into the office, having to sit down at the desk and have that internal conversation with yourself of, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Nobody's lying. I need to speak to every manager, every business owner in the market today. Go ahead and lower your expectations of what's going to be accomplished today, okay? Go ahead and lower your expectations for what your employees are going to get done today, because the reality of the situation is every one of us has our attention turned towards Sunday and Super Bowl licks down in New Orleans, Louisiana. So don't go in today expecting that big merger is going to get finished. It's not. Don't go in today expecting that those TPS reports are going to be done on time. They're not. Don't go in today thinking that anybody who works for or around you is going to accomplish anything today other than having conversations about sports, because that's just where we are. And go ahead and in advance, lower your expectations Monday. We're all going to be very tired. Okay? We're all going to be very, very tired. So is the Super Bowl different than the race? You staying up, like if the Super Bowl runs late, there's overtime, blah, blah, blah. You staying up for the end of that?
Rob, kickoff's around 6:40.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
It should end somewhere around my bedtime.
What if it was an 8:00 kick? You staying up to the end of the Super Bowl?
No.
Really?
Because if I do, I will not be able to function in my job. And it's important that one of us is able to function in our job the next day.
Sir, I've never not functioned on the air.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, and I have no problem with getting up a half hour earlier just to watch the end of it. But I don't have to, and your hypothesis or your scenario doesn't work because kickoff's somewhere between 6:30 and 6:40. And there's pregame starting at like 11 a.m.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it isn't like they've got to do the national anthem, got to do the flyover, even though it's a dome. McAfee had the two guys doing the flyover on.
We're doing a flyover that nobody in the building can see.
Well, no, they got cameras up on top of the dome.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And they still have to time it right.
Oh, you know what else they're doing at Super Bowl licks? You know what they're doing at Super Bowl licks? You know what I found out yesterday they're doing at Super Bowl licks? There's RFID chips in the football. They're using the first down tracking technology at the Super Bowl. They're not going to make it public. We're not going to get to see it or experience it or anything like that. But they are making it. They are putting it into the game for an experiment.
What if you found out that the tush push doesn't really work because of the chip? And the chip shows that he never actually gets those first downs. I mean, there's some that are really obvious, but the ones that are close, you find out that it's not as effective as they make it out to be.
I mean, I would say, well, then isn't that even more of a reason to begin using them now? We've been awarding non-first downs for 3 years now. That seems like even better of a reason.
And so do you go back and void any victory?
No, you can't
and
do
any
that.
touchdown that was made because of that, because then you have to speculate, okay, he didn't really make
Obviously.
these, so he probably missed 35, 40%
Listen,
of those.
a lack of getting things right in the past because we didn't have the understanding or the technology necessary to get it right doesn't mean you void the history, but it does mean you get the future correct. That's the take. Hey, speaking of the future, you have to be to work in 54 minutes now. You're going to talk about sports because, again, none of us want to work today. And if you're going to talk about sports, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers say,
Girl.
They take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
And the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports. This Friday, got to get down on Friday morning. Let's dive right in with item number 1. The National Football League handed out its NFL honors last night. Its season awards ceremony down in New Orleans, Louisiana, ahead of Super Bowl licks coming up on Sunday in the Crescent City, the Big Easy. Josh Allen is your 2024 most valuable player, edged out Lamar Jackson for the MVP. Allen, the first player in 21 seasons to win MVP without being selected first team All-Pro. Since the MVP was handed out for the first time in 1957, the only other players to win the award despite not being a first-team All-Pro were Broncos quarterback John Elway in 1987 and Titans quarterback Steve Air McNair in 2003. Elway was second team behind Joe Montana. McNair was second team behind Peyton Manning. Allen received 27 of the 51st place votes. Lamar Jackson received 23. Jackson did receive the second most second place votes. He got 26 of them. Josh Allen got 1 third place vote. Lamar Jackson got none. Saquon Barkley checked in third. Listen to these numbers, Lonzo. I'm curious because you said earlier Saquon should have been the MVP. That's an interesting take. Saquon Barkley got 0 first place votes, 1 second place vote, and 25 third place votes.
Because he's not a quarterback.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I at this point, I've been against this in years gone by, great one. I think with this, even though I do think Josh Allen was indeed the MVP this year, at the same time, I acknowledge it's absolutely ludicrous that Saquon Barkley, because I'd have given Saquon Barkley my second place vote. He'd have had 2 if I was a voter. I think I am jumping on board after this year. I am jumping on board with we should establish another MVP. There should be an MVQ and there should be an MVP. There should be an MVQ that we hand to the most valuable quarterback every year and an MVP that we hand to the most valuable not quarterback player. And to me, as much as, and y'all know I love me some Lamar Jackson, I would have gone Allen 1, Barkley 2, Burrow 3, Jackson 4. The final order was Allen 1 as the winner, Lamar, Saquon, Joey B, Jared Goff, and Patrick Mahomes rounded out the next 2 picks. Jayden Daniels checked in just behind Patrick Mahomes. So that's how your MVP awards wrapped up. Some of your other awards that went out last night. Saquon Barkley did win the Offensive Player of the Year award, became the 9th player to rush for more than 2,000 yards, finished 100 yards shy of Eric Dickerson's all-time single-season record. He averaged 142.7 rushing yards per game, the 4th highest single-season average in league history. Defensive Player of the Year goes to Patrick Surtain, the 2nd from Denver, the first cornerback to win the award. Surtain gave up only 2 touchdowns and 306 receiving yards, the third fewest amongst corners, with at least 50 targets, received 26 first-place votes, barely edging out Bengals edge rusher Trey Hendrickson and Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett. Jayden Daniels won your Offensive Rookie of the Year award. Bango, you're welcome if you tailed me on the 17-1 bet that I told you to make preseason. Handed Washington its best season in more than 30 years. Took a 4-13 team to a 12-5 record and an NFC Championship game in his very first season. Your Defensive Rookie of the Year, former Florida Stater turned LA Ram Jared Verse, the team's first winner of the award since Aaron Donald in 2014. The number 19 pick led all rookies with 18 QB hits, 50 quarterback pressures, 12 more than any other rookie this season. His 4.5 sacks were 5th amongst rookies. Joey B won the Comeback Player of the Year award. Chargers running back J.K. Dobbins and Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold finished second and third. Your Coach of the Year is Vikings HC Kevin O'Connell after another 14 victories this season. Jags defensive lineman Eric Armstead won the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award. Former Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson named assistant coach of the year. Minnesota Vikings DC Brian Flores and ex-Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn were second and third. And Niners tight end George Kittle won the Salute to Service award for his work supporting U.S. service members. Let's go to item number 2. This probably could have been wrapped up into item number 1. But I also think this is one of the most prestigious sporting things that happen. Also last night, the NFL announced its 2025 NFL Hall of Fame class. Only 4 members going in. It is the smallest class since 2005, which also had 4 members. That was Dan Marino, Steve Young, Fritz Pollard, and Benny Friedman. This year, it is tight end Antonio Gates, cornerback Eric Allen, defensive end Jared Allen, and wide receiver Sterling Sharp. Those 4 will be enshrined in the Hall in Canton, Ohio, coming up in August. Indianapolis Colts and New England Patriots kicker Adam Vinatieri, Carolina Panthers linebacker Luke Kuechly, New York Giants quarterback Eli Manning were all in their first year of eligibility and were not selected this year. Neither was, of course, in his, second year of eligibility. Former Carolina Panther wide receiver Steve Smith did not get in either. Just a 4-member class, of which I would say, Zoe, Antonio Gates was probably one of my favorite players to ever watch play. And Jared Allen, to me, and I know that this is not the case, Jared Allen was probably the first player that I remember having an on the field / off the field brand that jumped off the page at you. Jared Allen was just a character, and I know there have been other guys before him, but I think he was the first one that kind of transcended into this realm of like all around entertainer, but also really good football player.
Hunter, Fisher, that guy.
Dude was showing up to games on horseback.
Yeah, he was that guy and crazy on the field. And
he was wild.
Was a Kansas City Chief and also I believe Minnesota, I think.
Yep. I remember him more for his time with the Vikings than I do anything else.
Yeah, but he was with Kansas City for a while and was one of my favorite players for sure.
Oh, for sure.
No matter what, he's one of those guys, even though he leaves your team, he's still one of your favorite players.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's been very few. Unless you go to the Falcons, there's a lot of Saints that have moved on that I'm still like. Trey Hendrickson and Zach Braun. The Saints last night, had not 1, 2 players were up for NFL Defensive Player of the Year that were New Orleans Saints as recently as a year ago. Two guys that were NFL Defensive Player of the Year candidates, finalists. 2 guys that we just let walk. I hate my football team. I hate them. Like, here. Very quickly, item number 3. We'll talk about this a little bit later. After becoming the oldest player in NBA history to top 40 points in the LA Lakers 120-112 win over Golden State Warriors, LeBron James said, quote, "What do I think? That I'm old," end quote. He wanted to say, "That's what I think. I need a glass of wine and some sleep." That's the first thing I think about. Last night, at 40 years and 38 days old, LeBron James became the oldest player in NBA history to score 40 points in a game, about a month older than Michael Jordan was when he scored 43 back in 2003 for the Wiz at 40 years and 4 days old. James, when asked about being linked to Jordan once again, said, quote, "The biggest thing is we got the win, but throughout my journey, anytime I've been named or in the category, where whatever the case, cross paths with any of the greats, it's always humbling just to know where I come from, and I love the game so much, so it's pretty cool." Facing the Dubs last night, James knocked down a three-point shot late in the game. He hit 5 three-point attempts right out of the gate, including 3 straight in a 28-second span in the second quarter. The final one of the sequence came from the Lakers logo at center court, 30 feet away from the basket, put the Lake Show up to 45-23 with 9:09 in the second quarter to get the record. Steve Kerr burned a timeout as James raised both his arms and egged on the home crowd. LeBron James, I don't think, and so I'm curious as if you'll join me in this I don't think too hot take. I don't think we're paying enough attention to what LeBron James is doing at 40 years old. I agree.
And here's the thing. People will come around if they're winning right now.
They are winning. And Luka's not out there yet.
And what are they going to do when Luka gets out there? Are they going to continue to win, or will there be a chemistry problem? If they get better, which they should absolutely get a lot better. Look out.
Yeah. I'm not buying into this Charles Barkley theory that there's not enough ball time for Luka and LeBron. I'm not buying into this Chuck theory that these two guys can't play together. I disagree entirely. I think they're going to be phenomenal together. He's not even out there yet. And at this point, the Lakers are on an absolute tear right now. They have won, what is that? I think they've won like 9 out of their last 11 at this point. They are absolutely on a heater. They've been doing it without Anthony Davis. Now they're in the spot where they are what? The Lake Show is currently 5th in the West. They are 1 game behind Houston for 4th. They're a game and a half behind Denver for 3rd. This team is not just going to be a playoff team when Luka shows up. There's a very good chance they're going to be a hosting playoff team in the first round.
Are there Vegas odds? I'm sure there probably are, about who gets hurt first, Anthony Davis or Luka.
I don't know if you saw.
I know where my money's on.
I don't know if you saw a great one. Luka show up at the Lakers facility and put on the uni for the first time for his promo shoots.
Didn't look fat to me.
Fat!
Yeah.
Fat! That dude's jacked, bro. I'm at the point now where I think, and this may shock you, I think the Mavericks are full of about Luka. I think they're full of. I think the conspiracy theory D-Wade laid out yesterday is absolutely true at this point, which we'll revisit later in the show. Rob Alonzo and you, The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. Lamar didn't win at Zach Breeze because, and this is the reason I told you months ago, well, I should say weeks ago, Josh Allen was going to win it, because Lamar Jackson is surrounded by superior talent.
And because the league and the writers and everyone wanted Josh Allen to win.
Why do you get to have a conspiracy theory, but the Chiefs haters don't?
It's not a conspiracy theory.
It is a conspiracy theory.
If you had to pick between Lamar
No.
Josh Allen, if it was only those two,
I'd take Josh Allen.
I would take Lamar.
I'd take Josh Allen. Josh Allen has a better arm. He scrambles compared to Lamar. His scrambling is just as effective. It's just not as athletic looking, like Mahomes. I would take Josh Allen over Lamar Jackson. I love Lamar Jackson, but I'd take Josh Allen.
I refuse to be a part of your hive mind. You and your Borg, you lost.
The Borg.
Yes.
They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about legal tax defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call legal tax defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-265-7681. 800-265-7681. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain. 800-265-7681.
Hi, this is Diesel. And this is Cole with Galaxy. Now through Tuesday, February 25th, our friends at Ingles Markets are teaming up with American Legion Post 3 here in Greensville to help folks have a good Christmas dinner later this year. Please consider buying a $5 icon when you check out your local Ingles Markets in the upstate. American Legion Post 3 has been making Christmases bright through the Goodfellows Food Drive since the 1920s. Over 100.
By the way, Jelly Roll should just wear that uniform.
I laughed so hard, dude.
Have you seen the video? I've just seen the picture. He looks good in that.
He looked like a. Let's do that here.
Uh-huh.
Just create or log into your free Odyssey account on the app or Odyssey.com. Search for this station, click the live button, and listen for a minimum of 60 minutes to get your daily entry. A chance to win a trip to Las Vegas for you and 3 friends with $20,000. Slam Dunk in Vegas. For more, go to Odyssey.com/slamdunk. This is a national contest.
Sponsored by Rapid Radio. Rapid Radio is our instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies, offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. Business owners can now keep in touch with up to 200 staff members at one time. Go to rapidradios.com now for up to 60% off. And
Rashad today or no Rashad?
Supposedly.
We haven't teased it, so I didn't.
Yeah.
You need to tease more, Rob. You teaser.
What can I say? I'm not good at this job, buddy. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the fan of state, Rob Lonzo, and you. I want to talk very briefly, since we have a short segment here. I want to talk very briefly about the conspiracy theory taking place right now in the NBA. Dwayne Wade has had an interesting take the last couple of days about this. I want to give it to you again. And then I want to talk about it a little bit because I think the Mavs are full of crap to the point that it has brought me around to believe, like straight up believe, Dwayne Wade's conspiracy theory. Dwayne Wade said this.
This was billionaire business. The last 12 to 15 years, the players have decided what we want to do. This was the owners, the governors, the billionaires deciding what they want to do. And so I looked at the business of the game. I said, the NBA, the viewership in America is down. Our stars in the game today are all international players. One of the biggest international stars now, at 25 years old, is traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. The biggest market in the world for sports. Luka now shoots number 1 in jersey sales with the Lakers. We just signed him $25 billion TV deals. You get 10 years of Luka being the face of the Lakers, but you also get to put him with LeBron James, the guy who's been the face of the league, who can show him how to be the face of the league, and also who can show him how to take care of himself the way he needs to take care of himself. That is the best example you can have.
I agree with that, but I want to take it one step further. Tomorrow, the Mavericks play their first home game since Luka Doncic was traded away to become a Los Angeles Laker. There are two things that have happened. Well, I guess I should say there are three things that have happened since that deadline that I think are very interesting. The first thing is that within a day, and they're going to dress this up as this is just the Mavs trying to be in touch with the community. The first thing that happened is within a day, the Mavericks sent out an offer to refund the remaining value of season tickets to anybody who did not want to keep their season tickets, effectively admitting, we know you came here to support and we know you came here to watch Luka Doncic. And now that he's not here, if you don't want to come to Mavs games anymore, we will pay you for the remaining value of those season tickets. And the Mavs are dressing it up as, oh, excellent customer service, right? We're taking care of our community. The reality here, and I'd almost be willing to guarantee that they are going to refund those season tickets, whoever elects to do it, of which there will be a lot of fans. They are going to refund those season tickets, and two things are going to happen. Number one, those season tickets are going to be resold by the team for more than they refunded. It's just a way to recycle tickets and make another double dip of profit off of them. And number two, they know that if season ticket holders weren't refunded, those season ticket holders would show up to the arena and be a problem. Because, you know, they're not going to show up and be like, woo, let's go Mavs. They're going to show up and go, hey, bleep you, Nico. No, screw this. We're going to boo the team out of the building, right? And that's a problem.
So you don't think winning would take care of that?
I think it would. I also think that they're not a very good basketball team anymore. They've still got some dogs. They've still got some players.
I think they won last night.
I mean, yeah, but every NBA team's going to win a handful. Like, they're not a playoff team anymore. And the Mavs went from a playoff team that went to the NBA Finals a year ago to if they make the playoffs, it's going to be like the last play-in spot at best, right? So I think, number one, it allows them to double dip on profits. And number two, it allows them to, in their opinion, hopefully not have a hostile home crowd tomorrow when they return for the first time back to the Big D, and I do mean Dallas. Number two, as Dwayne Wade pointed out, and again, I think he's accurate, this trade was good for the NBA because the NBA right now, as mentioned, is indeed struggling in viewership. Ratings are down, like significantly, like noticeably down. Luka as a Mav, Luka as a Laker moves the needle in the number one TV market in the United States. Luka with LeBron certainly does. It moves merch sales, no doubt, because now everybody that is one of those bandwagon Laker fans is going to want a Luka Doncic 77 jersey. It's good for the NBA as a whole. And while individual team owners may want their team to be as good as possible, they are still investors. And the revenue sharing that comes from television contracts is more important than the revenue generated within your individual market. You want to know how I know that? We played games in the bubble during COVID so that they could keep the TV contract in. We played NFL games, NBA games, MLS games, NHL games. We played them in a bubble with zero fans. No merch sales, no concession sales, no extra add-on ticket premium sales. We did all of those sports sans fans in arenas. The leagues could operate without stadiums. Now, it's extra money, so they're not going to. But the TV revenue is important, and this is a boost for the NBA, whether you like it or not. And I don't. But there's one more aspect of this that kind of started floating around yesterday, and this I completely buy into. Mark Cuban sold his shares to the team, with the exception of like 27% of them. He's not a controlling owner anymore. He's got input, but he's not a decision maker any longer. The primary owners of the team, the decision-making owners of the team at this point, as we have talked about a couple of times this week, they are investors. They are Las Vegas casino magnates. They are casino barons. Now, why is this important? It is important because of two things that are relevant to the Dallas Mavericks right now. Number one, Texas is currently working on legislation that would legalize sports gambling in the state of Texas. On top of that, Dallas is one of the top 5 markets in terms of size in America. It is an enormous city. Well, if the state of Texas legalizes sports gambling, what does that allow the owners of the Dallas Mavericks to do? It allows them to say, we want to connect our basketball team to the sports gambling world. And whether that is build an entire casino or just build a sports book around the team, we want to take advantage of that, which would position them to be the gambling entity in Dallas, Texas. They would own that market by connecting it, not just connecting it to the gambling world, but connecting it to the gambling world with all of the contacts and knowledge that they have as Las Vegas investors. But there's a second thing on the table here. Where's the NBA trying to get a team at next? Las Vegas, Nevada. The NFL did it. MLB is doing it. The NBA has made it no secret that they want to get a team into Las Vegas, Nevada. Who else better to do that than folks who have been longtime investors and power players in Las Vegas, like the owners of the Dallas Mavericks? So what power does that give the new ownership of the Dallas Mavericks? Very simple. They make the team bad. Ticket sales tank, merch tanks, national TV time tanks, all of the metrics by which teams are patted on the back or told you have to do better, they all tank. And then they get to go to Dallas, Texas. They get to go to the municipality and they get to say, we want concessions. We want this. We want tax breaks. We want tax funding for a new stadium. We want tax funding for a new facility. We want this special treatment. We want that special treatment. And here's the options, guys. You can give us these things, including special treatment and exemptions that allow us to build either a casino or a sports book right next to our stadium, connect it to the team, yada, yada, yada. Or we'll take the team out to Las Vegas because they will give us all of that. So here you go, Dallas, Texas. You have two options. You can give us everything that we want. Every exemption, every tax break, every taxpayer-funded incentive for new stadiums and facilities and this, that, and the other. You can allow us every permit that we want in order to build our casino or our sports book or whatever. You can give us all that, or we'll get on the phone with old Adam Silver and we'll volunteer this team to be the team that moves to Las Vegas. It's your pick. And here's the thing. Then Dallas has a situation. Either they take money out of the coffers of the taxpayers in order to give the Mavericks owners everything that they want in order to keep the team, or they say, hey, go bleep yourself, buddy. We're not giving you that. And the team leaves and they lose an NBA team and everything that comes along with that. The part that sucks here about this is that the owners of the Dallas Mavericks 100% have an incentive to make this team suck. To make it suck. Somebody put the list of what the Brooklyn Nets turned the Kevin Durant trade in. When Durant was 38, by the way, it is legitimately like 9 years worth of multiple first-round picks versus what the Mavs got for Luka, which was Anthony Davis, one player, and a single first-round pick. And the bad thing is, as awful as this is, the owners can't lose because they either get everything they want in Dallas or they get everything they want in Las Vegas, and they're good either way. The fans get bleeped, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Buddy.
This is the ugly side of sports. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Still didn't do the thing. Didn't do the thing. I'm gonna have to step in.
Nope, I'm highlighting it in yellow. We're doing it now.
You enjoy being in trouble. I do not. So
I have highlighted it in yellow, and I have now drawn arrows pointing at it all over the screen.
That's the. And if you forget now,
I forget now. I don't know what you say.
I have 2 bites left of my sandwich. I'm going to eat it.
Are you a victim of the conference trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial, the original conflict inflation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-359-3434.
Someone else. Maybe it's Bradley Cooper in the stands.
Oh,
You know what I think? I'm going to
no longer on the project. His wife got a new job, so they're moving across the country.
Robin's top researcher is deviating to a new market. This isn't standard.
And now we're short-staffed. Who's going to finish all these projects?
She needs a cluster of new data analysts, and there's no margin for error.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free Odyssey app. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Text or call 1-900.
You know, statistically speaking, this is our most listened to segment. Statistically speaking, there are more people listening now than ever before, or will listen for the rest of the show, just statistically speaking. And Lonzo and I had all of you in the Armada listen to all 4 hours, all 5 days of the week, but statistically speaking. So I'm going to say this to you right now so that the most of you have the chance to do something awesome. Our Slam Dunk in Vegas giveaway is happening right now. What's that, Rob? Glad you asked, hypothetical listener I made up for this exact scenario. I'll explain it. It's real simple. You go on your cell phone, tablet, or digital device and you download the Odyssey app. It is free. When you download the Odyssey app, you register simply by popping your email in. Again, free. Then, once you're in the Odyssey app, you go to the Fan Upstate page. Just search it in the little search bar. When you get to the Fan Upstate page, there's a little heart icon. I want you to click it and favorite the station. That way, every time that you open the Odyssey app, it goes right to the Fan Upstate page. On the middle of that page, there is a big orange button that says Listen Live. I want you to click that button, and I want you to listen for 60 minutes. Now, I'd love for you to do it during the Rob Brown Show. But for the Slam Dunk in Vegas giveaway, you can listen any 60 minutes of any given day. You listen to the Fan Upstate on the Odyssey app for 60 minutes, and you are going to be automatically entered in our Slam Dunk in Vegas giveaway. What's that, Rob? Again, glad you asked. Somebody in this national contest is going to win the grand prize. The grand prize is this. You and 3 people of your choosing are going to win round-trip airfare to Las Vegas. You are going to win top-tier accommodations at the Circa Casino and Resort. You are going to win the opportunity to go watch the opening round of the College Basketball National Championship Tournament at Stadium Swim, which, if you know what Stadium Swim is, good for you. If you don't, it is an outdoor, enormous pool of which there is always a party going on, surrounded by bars and restaurants with a television screen atop it that is roughly the size of a football field. And if there's a sport happening in America or around the world that has a camera pointed at it, it's up on that screen. You are winning the flight. You are winning accommodations. You are winning the opportunity to hang out at Stadium Swim. And in case I haven't mentioned it yet, every one of your party of 4 is also winning $5,000 in cash money. That is $20,000 added on to the round trip airfare, the accommodations at Circa Casino and Resort, the Stadium Swim passes, and $5,000 a person for a total of $20,000. And all you have to do is get the Odyssey app, AUDACY, download it, register on it, and listen to the Fan Upstate for 60 minutes. So for those of you in your car right now, you're driving to work, you're headed in, you're not looking forward to the next 8 hours. All you want to do is go in, talk about the big game TM with your coworkers, then be done at 5, head home and start setting up for that big game party TM. Here's what you do. Grab the Odyssey app right now, take it into the office with you, turn on the Rob Brown Show, and just set it on the desk and listen while you pretend to work. AUDACY, get registered, 60 minutes of listening to the Fan Upstate. You are automatically entered into the Slam Dunk in Vegas giveaway. You and 3 people of your choosing get round-trip airfare to Vegas, accommodations at the Circa Resort and Casino, passes to Stadium Swim, and $5,000 per person to do with whatever you wish. You're welcome, America. It's the Slam Dunk in Vegas giveaway happening right now only on the Odyssey app. All right, let's get some more stuff in here. I have been on this for a minute. Joe Pompliano is a rising star in the world of sports broadcasting. He hosts The Pomp Show. It is a podcast that he puts on the internet. Well connected in the sports world is Joe Pompliano. I did some research on him before I decided that I was going to utilize some of his audio. And the reason I'm playing his audio is because I heard it yesterday. I went and did the research, and I found out that what he said on his podcast is true. What'd he say, Rob? this.
Did you know the NFL has been quietly working on optical tracking technology to measure first downs, sort of like the Hawkeye system in tennis? This is fascinating, so stick with me. Most people don't know this, but the NFL has implanted an RFID tracking chip inside every single football used during practice and games over the last decade. These chips weigh just 3.3 grams, adding less than 1% to the football's weight, and they provide fans with next-gen stats, like how fast a player ran during a specific play or the separation between a receiver and a defensive back. The NFL sends a crew of 3 people to each game to monitor all 54 footballs, turning the batteries on and off before and after the game. The NFL also puts these tracking chips on officials, inside the stick and chains, and even the pylons. This gives the NFL, its teams, and its TV partners more than 300 million data points each year. Amazon then feeds this data into a machine learning model that tells us who might blitz before each snap based on certain plays, formations, and tendencies. And individual teams are now building out their own models to help prepare for games each week. Now, I know what you're thinking. If the NFL has tracking chips implanted within footballs, the chains, sticks, and pylons, why can't they just triangulate the data to spot the ball without any error? Well, it's complicated. The NFL can't use the same Hawkeye technology used in tennis because that requires the ball to be 75% visible by light. That's why the NFL has been quietly testing a solution over the last few years that combines optical tracking like Hawkeye with data from the RFID chips. This test initially started with the preseason in 2023, but has since been expanded to regular season games at MetLife, Hard Rock, and SoFi Stadium. And the NFL also ran a test of this technology during last year's Super Bowl in Las Vegas and will do it again this year in New Orleans. This technology would still have to be approved by 24 of the league's 32 owners, but it feels like we're getting pretty damn close to automated ball spotting.
Yay! Hater.
His voice, it's voice, dude. I mean, the stuff he's talking about is fascinating, but his voice
I will totally.
And somebody kept doing this.
It wasn't me.
Okay, I'm just curious.
It wasn't me. I backed off the mic. I will agree with you on one thing, which is Joe Pompliano. And I watched some more of his stuff. I don't dislike the guy, but he definitely has that YouTube speaking voice. You know the one. Hey guys. He definitely has that voice. That being said, I went and I researched the claims.
I just want to say, Bill Brooks was reading that. Dude, I'm in.
I'm telling you, we're going to have to, eventually we're going to have to get like a Bill Brooks reads the sports news segment going. Sorry, Bill, you have 10 more minutes of work you have to do every morning because the Rob Brown Show needs you.
Loosen the smoking jacket, stoke up the fire, and do a little more work for us.
So, I went and checked these claims. And from what I was able to find yesterday evening, they're all correct. They're all accurate.
The most fascinating thing about the whole thing when he was talking was the fact that tennis balls, that technology requires light.
Yep.
And when he said that, it makes a lot of sense for the reason why they're struggling with doing what you would like them to do.
The issue here, and that is exactly correct, and I acknowledge this when the conversation started after the AFC title game, because even though Rob Brown has been on this bandwagon for years now, don't care. Even though Rob Brown has been on this bandwagon for years, after the AFC championship game where the did or did not Josh Allen get a first down conversation popped up.
Nope.
The rest of America has joined me on these. Okay, guys, we got to do something. There needs to be something better than 2 sticks and a chain to determine if a team was able to accomplish their goal of a first down or not. There's got to be something better than that. And he kind of laid it out there, which is the Hawkeye technology used in tennis, which if you have not watched any tennis in the last couple of years, and they have been using it for a couple of years now, whenever there is an instant replay challenge in tennis, of which players in any given game set or match get X amount of them, I'm going to keep it a buck. I don't know how many they get per game. But when they go to a challenge, they have effectively filmed the tennis ball at like a gazillion frames per second and hooked that footage up to a computer that is able to tell within a fraction of a millimeter where the ball contacted, and therefore get a very, very accurate digital look at whether or not the ball was past the line, on the line, inside the line, whatever. But Joe explained, because yes, I did some research on this when I listened to this clip last night as well, that the Hawkeye technology requires the tennis ball to be at least in 75% light for the computer to be able to recognize and render the size, shape, speed, and movement of the tennis ball, which is obviously something that would be very difficult to do in football. Hell, even if we use the Josh Allen play as the example, Josh Allen had that ball tucked away to his chest, inside of 2 arms, ball security, baby, 5 points of contact, had that ball tucked away, and there were defenders sandwiched all over him, meaning there's no way to see the football. So the combination of optical technology, when available, and these RFID chips is going to be effectively mandatory for this to work.
So this is all controlled by a computer, right?
It would be controlled,
or a series of computers that could be hacked or
see, here's what I'm not going to allow.
You're not going to allow the fact that there is no perfect way to do this because computers are not perfect. There are glitches. Nothing is unhackable.
You ain't wrong, Zoe. And I would still be willing to bet I could get you a higher efficiency rate than referees. Okay? I know there's no perfect way. There's no perfect way to prevent car accidents, but we damn sure have put tech on the road.
There absolutely is a perfect way. Don't get in the car.
That doesn't prevent car accidents. That prevents you from being in a car accident. It doesn't stop car accidents.
Everybody didn't get in the car, then it could prevent car accidents.
I got places to be.
Yeah, I know.
I got places to be.
And the thing is, you're pushing this thing as if it's perfection.
No,
and it's not.
No, what I'm pushing it as is more accurate than 2 refs who regularly disagree with each other and a stick in some chain. It's going to be more accurate than that. And I will take 93% efficiency over 82% efficiency when it comes to, did an offense earn a thing or not? If an offense earns a first down, they should be awarded a first down. Not, maybe they get it, maybe they don't, because the referee on this side says here and the referee on that side said there. And oh, by the way, the only way to say whether it happened or not is a chain and 2 sticks. Let's actually figure out whether it was earned or not. And just like with anything else, if we can improve the accuracy and efficiency of a thing, we should. Because a thing isn't flawless doesn't mean we just shouldn't use that because it's got flaws. Yeah, but the system we have has even more flaws to it. So let's implement the tech and up the efficiency rating, decrease the flaws, and find out if it's a first down or not.
That's also in theory that it's going to be more efficient.
I mean, I don't think
we would need a window of how many years would it take before you could be able to compare the calls, the human calls to the robot calls. How many before we could get a sample size big enough to find out which is more efficient.
That is why.
And how much more efficient does it have to be for you to be okay with it?
Literally 1% an upgrade.
What if it's less than 1%?
I will take any upgrade.
What if it's less than 1%?
I'm going to go ahead and say speculation.
Definitely speculation.
The NFL hasn't been testing it for a decade if it's got a margin of error that large. They haven't. The NFL, if nothing else, is efficient in the way it manages its money. They are not running this tech in experimental phase for a decade if it's not working.
But that's the best point of all. They've been testing it for a decade and they cannot perfect it. And most places, if you're testing something, you don't do it for 10 years.
I disagree with that. Do we not still test safety systems on cars regularly to make sure that it's efficient and utilizing correct technology? Of course we do. Yes, you absolutely do. In fact, I would even say if we are testing it and they come out and Goodell says tomorrow, hey, surprise everybody, we're using the chips next year, I would say good. And keep testing it to make sure
here's
it
the
can't
other
get better.
problem. Testing for a decade, technology has jumped. It's major jumps within that time period. So they would have to go back and start over again with the latest
That's
technology.
not how technology works at all.
Absolutely would.
No, it's not. I have this phone. A year ago, I had a phone that wasn't this phone. When this phone come out, did I have to learn a whole new phone? No. They upgraded the tech. I had to learn a couple new things.
It is a weirdo phone that only a rare few have.
It's not a weirdo thing.
Absolutely.
It's a Google Pixel. It's an Android phone.
Whatever I could do to get you to put it back in its holder so you don't throw it through the TV.
The point here is,
because I saw slipping. I did.
A new tech system doesn't render the old one obsolete. Tech, like evolution, is a baby step forward at a time.
Mm-hmm.
When a new cell phone drops, you don't have to forget everything you've known about cell phones and learn a whole new phone. You just go, okay, all these things are the same, and here's the couple of new differences that I got to learn.
Here's what we're gonna. I will be retired living at that one place in Florida. For some reason, the name slips my mind now. You know, that fancy retirement.
The Villages.
The Villages. I'll be living in the Villages.
Lonzo's going to be hanging out with the old hussies down there.
Hey, you know, no, I'm not, because I'm happily married. But anyway, I will be schooling them at shuffleboard and bingo. But you will still be on the air. Josh Allen will be retired, and they still won't have this technology in because they'll be testing it.
I will bet you this technology is in play in the next decade.
All right, you'll have to come and visit me.
I will. I'll bring you some applesauce.
Sweet.
We'll smash your medicines up in the applesauce.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Sports flash. I got nothing else.
Applesauce.
I love applesauce.
So do I. The NBA trade deadline is come and gone. Here are some of the moves that were made. Dennis Schroeder was traded again to his fourth team this season. Schroeder was sent from the Nets to the Warriors in December, who sent him to the Jazz on Wednesday as part of the Jimmy Butler deal. Yesterday, the Jazz sent him to Detroit in return for KJ Martin and Josh Richardson. Hey, at least you're still in the league. You may be moving around a bunch, but you're still in the league. The Hornets made one final move, acquiring center Yusuf Nurkic and a 2026 first-round pick from Phoenix in return for Cody Martin and Vasily Micic. I don't care. That's what I'm going with. A 2026 second-round pick. Nurkic hasn't played since January 7th, but was moved to the bench, telling reporters he and Suns coach Mike Budenholzer don't have any sort of relationship. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 4 p.m. for the Furman Paladins as they take on the Chattanooga Mocs right here on the Fan Upstate. So Vasily sounds better. It's probably not, but I went with Vasily Micic. It could be, you know, because I was thinking of Vicini and was thinking of, Princess Bride. We got to go back to the beginning, So, William, you got to listen live for an hour. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of an hour. It's just an hour. But it has to be live.
Yeah,
in order to.
At 7, let's listen to 8.
Or if you check in at 7:15, listen to 8 till 8:15. So you will have gotten your hour. So if you guys have never turned into the Upstate Pulse, there's no sports going on tomorrow night. So you should tune into the Upstate Pulse and listen to our toys bracket and see if a stick makes it all the way through. Because let's face it, a stick is the most versatile toy for a boy and for girls. It could be a gun. It could be a cane. It could be a divining rod. You never play like you had a divining rod when you found a stick that looked a certain way. I mean, you can't help and just walk around and go, hey, I wonder if there actually is water down there. If you don't know what a divining rod is, look it up. April jumped on there last week and said, how's it going, buddy? Or something like that. It was hilarious. Exactly. Grand Wizard staff, depending on what kind of stick you find. I played a bunch. I haven't played the latest season, though. Rob has moved up to next gen. He should try playing some Diablo 4.
Is Baldur's is on?
No, you have to buy it.
Yeah, but it's on Xbox.
Yeah,
right?
it is. Okay. Yeah, I've been playing it for the last. While I'm waiting for Avowed to come out, which is still in 2 weeks. I went from Starfield to playing some more Baldur's Gate because more and more mods have come out. Which I had already beat the game like 3 or 4 times on computer and a couple times on. And now I just want to see all the cool outfits and all that kind of stuff and play through it again. Because there's so many things that you could miss if you just don't talk to a random NPC. And they've modded to the degree that just about any class you can think of in D&D you could play as.
Off we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Rob, the great man Lonzo with you here on the radio broadcast. I would like to jump right into the audio blitz. Some of the best audio that we have had over the past 24 hours, predominantly sports, though it can sometimes get away from that a little bit. It will today, doubtlessly. Do want to tell you, Rashad Beard coming up here in about 40 minutes from now. The host of the Panther Nation podcast is going to join us. We'll talk a little Super Bowl with Rashad, get his thoughts. We will also, of course, check in with the Carolina Panthers and where they are in their off season so far, including yesterday, a couple of Panthers not getting into the Hall of Fame. Luke Kuechly was in his first year of eligibility, did not receive the required number of votes, though I do suspect he will get in. I do think there is some level of protection of first ballot Hall of Famers. And we Lonzo and I both love Luke Kuechly as a dude and as a player, but from an unbiased outsider standpoint, as good as Luke Kuechly was, I think I understand him not being labeled a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I guess it's the fan thing. I still think he's one of the best linebackers of all time.
I think he was very good. I also think, and this is probably something that is unfair to hold against him because he did so for a very good reason, but I think him walking away early because of the head injuries. I think him walking away early. If he'd had another 3, 4, 5 years of playing at that level, I think he becomes a first ballot guy.
For that reason, he should get into the Hall of Fame so they can say, hey, he was that good in that window, but he was smart enough to step away with all the awareness of head injuries and stuff. So it's not, so a player doesn't go, okay, he didn't make it into the Hall of Fame, I need to play through this because I want to be in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, I understand that. I understand that thought. We're going to come to a story here in a few minutes that kind of goes along those lines, because there is a very interesting story about an NFL player who was on the legacy ballot, who back in, I think, 1980, killed his wife and himself And then years later, they went and did the study and they found out this dude absolutely suffered from major amounts of CTE. And so even with killing his wife and himself as I guess really legacy, he still came very close to being voted in. Effectively, the NFL going, look, we didn't know CTE was an issue, how big of a deal it was, and we understand, while we obviously don't condone what happened, I almost wonder if they weren't kind of hoping to utilize him as a see what can happen if you don't protect yourselves and we don't take these head injuries seriously. We're going to come to that story a little later in the show, but there's a couple of bits of sound that I want to get to here. Let's start with this. Boomer Esiason is a host on WFAN. That's the big talker up in New York City and our brother station.
Yeah, just don't tell him a secret.
Shit, dude. Boomer. Anyway, Boomer said the NFL is expanding.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to say by 2029, maybe 2028, there will be an NFL division in Europe. You watch.
Expansion or some of the existing?
No, expansion.
We'll give them
totally expansion.
Expansion. We're going to 36 franchises.
There's so many billionaires out there right now that want a piece of this.
Why not just give them the Jags, the Browns?
Why don't you just shut up and just listen to what I'm saying, all right? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And they're going to go to, by the way, and they will go to an 18-game schedule.
Fine. So you're telling us it's going to happen. What's your opinion on it? My opinion is it sucks and I hate it. So what's your opinion on it?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
I do like it.
There we go.
All right?
Yeah, man.
But I'm telling you, this is what's happening. Just
Right,
so
no,
you know.
okay.
It's happening before your eyes.
All right.
I agree. It sucks and I hate it.
The best part was when you said, I agree. I'm like, which one of the four things does Lonzo agree with?
I do not agree with him telling someone to shut up, by the way.
The cat that he is hosting with, I will say, because I actually went back on the Odyssey app, as a matter of fact, and found and listened to that segment on Boomer Show on WFAN. The dude he was with, Zoe, you know me, I'm not that guy. After like 5 minutes, I was like, dude, shut up! Let him talk! Shut your mouth, buddy! Shut your mouth, buddy. Let Boomer talk. Boomer says by the end of the 2020s, there will not just be a team in Europe. There will be an entire European division, and it will be expansion, not moving. Nobody's moving over there. I still disagree. I think the Jags could, but theoretically speaking, because we're at a round number of 32, short of having lopsided divisions, which I don't think any owner is going to agree with, you have to add 4 teams. You got to add 4 or you got to move 4. And I don't think there's 4 to move. So they are talking about going and adding 4 teams. The very first thought that I had there, great one, was how's the scheduling on that work, right? Because the trip from, and this is something I pointed out for a while, the trip from, say, New York to London is about the same trip as it is from New York to LA. So that's not a huge deal. But the trip from, say, LA to London, or if we want to go from arguably the two furthest points apart, if we get a spot where like the Rams travel to Germany, that is half the globe.
See, I don't know if you remember, but I do remember NFL Europe.
I do?
Have football fans changed enough, evolved, according to some people, enough that they would be interested in a European league or a portion of the NFL being in Europe? I don't think so.
I think there is a dramatic difference between the, the Frankfurt Galaxy and the Frankfurt team that's actually in whatever the new division is going to be and can win a Super Bowl. And there's a difference. Listen, it's just like any other sport, right? And I use this example not because of the specific team, but just the reality of it. You go down to the Greenville Drive, successful games. They got good crowds that come in there during baseball season, any given night of the week. And that's all well and good. But every now and then,
it's also a different level.
Let me finish my thought here, because that's exactly the point. Every now and then, the Boston Red Sox send down, buddy. Every now and then, the Boston Red Sox send down an MLB player to do a rehab assignment here. And when they do that, what happens for the Greenville Drive? That stadium is sold out, standing room capacity only, and that's for one Major League Baseball player. So if you get to the point where right now, and I think you can prove it, and I do have to acknowledge that part of this is just because there's only 4, 5, 6 European games per year. Those stadiums are selling out 100K deep.
Yeah, and there's no way to know this. Is it just novelty? If that becomes the norm, will they still do that? Because right now it's like once a year you got a shot to see a live NFL game. So people are scrambling to go see it. If you got a shot to go see a game every week, will they still have that kind of attendance?
I think just like any team in the States, it's going to depend on what the team is. If you have a European version of the Chiefs that are going 15-2 and a Super Bowl third every year, they're going to sell out 100,000 seat stadiums. Well, if you send the Jags and they stink for years, you're going to struggle.
The Jags are still selling out in England, by the way. So England and Germany definitely would get a team under that scenario. Who else would?
Germany would get a team. Where it's at, I don't know. That is part of the reason I think if you look, Germany.
Frankfurt?
Well, no, I mean, they're playing games in Frankfurt. They're playing games in Berlin. They're playing games. I think there's 3 cities in Germany they play in right now, right? So which of those cities? I don't know. Germany would get a team. I would bet France gets a team. I would bet England gets a team. Where the 4th team is, I'm not really sure.
Well, Mexico, but that's not really Europe.
That's not Europe.
But that's another place where they play a bunch.
Sure. So my first thought initially was like, okay, so
they're doing all that. Why not Canada?
Oh, I do think Canada's getting a team. And I would go so far as to say that Boomer says by the end of the 2030s, this league is going to 36 teams. I'd be willing to bet you we're at 40 by 2035. I think we have a 40-team league at some point. And I think you're going to get 4 in Europe, and then I think you're going to add 4 more down the pipe. I think Canada will probably get 2. I think Mexico gets 1, and I would not be shocked down the pipe to see them add 1 to Brazil, to Rio de Janeiro as well. Again, theoretically speaking, the Europe thing, I absolutely think is happening. The only question I have is...
Or Canada, Greenland, Mexico, and American Samoa.
I don't think there's enough people in American Samoa, but I could be wrong. A
lot of big ooses there that could field a team.
A lot of diet ooses down there too. Thanks, Rashad. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens with that down the pipe. But Boomer says it's on the way, and I got to tell you, I think he's probably right. I think they're doing the fact that we have seen the activity of the National Football League skyrocket exponentially in Europe over the past couple of years is an indicator. The fact that the NFL a couple of years ago propped up effectively an office of football development in Europe, I don't think that was exclusively an office designed to promote the NFL. I think it was an office that was designed to test the climate in Europe and decide the NFL's not going to do it if they're not sure it is going to be a money-making endeavor. And so because of that, I think that office and all these European games were set up to find out, is this a profitable venture for us to prop a football team up in Europe? And I think the answer is yes, or we wouldn't see because when the European games started, we had like 1 European game a year. We had like 1 game in London, and then it went to 2, and then it went to 4. Last year we had a European game every week for like 7 weeks, 8 weeks. There was a 9:30 Sunday game being played in Germany or in London or wherever for like 9 straight weeks. They aren't doing that if they don't feel that this is a money-making endeavor. So I actually think Boomer's probably right about this. My only question becomes, again, the schematics of scheduling and all that. If it is one division, obviously that's great. That's 8 games for all of those teams out of 18. 8 games out of all of those games that they don't really have to worry about. They just travel and play each other in that division. The other aspect of it, though, I think comes into what do you do with the scheduling as far as playing. Oh, and by the way, we do have to change the divisions up because if we go from 32 to 36 teams, now we're not going to have 9 4-team divisions. Then the conferences become irrelevant unless we go to a, there's 9 division winners or what? 9 division winners. And the number 1 seed gets a bye, everybody. I don't really know how you structure it. I think at that point, you would have to go, if you go to 36 teams or instead of 32, I think at that point, you would end up, I think you'd have to go 6-team divisions. You would have 6 divisional champions. And then I think you'd have to go, that would make what? You'd have to go to what? 3 wild card teams from both sides.
4-team divisions haven't been around that long, have they?
Yeah, they've been around for a long time. They were 4-team divisions back before we had realignment that sent the Saints from the west to the south.
Were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think you would have to go to 6-team divisions. The AFC would be 3 6-team divisions. The NFC would be 3 6-team divisions. I think you would have to have 6 conference champions. I think also, by the way, this would likely end up in a spot where you would have, I think, 4 wild card teams. I'm kind of drawing out the map now. I think you'd have 6 division champs. I think you'd have 4 wild card teams. That would leave you a spot where you effectively have 8 teams from both the NFC and the AFC make it into the tournament. I don't know. I think it would be a massive realignment of where we are in the NFL. But I also think, as with the 18-game schedule, the rules changes, yada, 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 if it's going to make the NFL more money, they're going to do it. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I got a few more clips that I want to play for you, a few more audio bites during the Blitz to get to. Rashad Beard wraps up this hour. Then the 9 o'clock hour belongs entirely to the Armada. That's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I have to tinkle.
hotline. Poll of the day is open. The question today is very simple. Who you got? Who you got?
And by the way, quit voting more than once.
You can't. I have it set only one vote registers per phone number.
They
can send multiple texts, but I actually have a text counter,
Okay.
and it only counts
I'm
per
just
number
saying, I
once.
looked at the text line and I've seen one Eagles fan vote multiple times.
Yeah, I want you to know if you vote more than once, you are wasting your time, as we actually have a software program that tabulates these votes. The reason I started doing this is because something else does all the work for me. When I had to go through it, you'll notice that we didn't do text votes very often because I don't want to sit here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, slash for 5. I don't want to do that. But the software does it for me. And I can instruct it as a wonderful little subservient artificial intelligence.
Wow.
I can tell it what I want it to do, which is to count only one vote per phone number. So here are your 4 options in today's text poll question of the day. Who you got? In Super Bowl Licks, you have 4 options to select from. You can select Chiefs Mini if you believe the Chiefs win in a blowout. You can select Chiefs Few if you believe that it is going to be a close game pulled out by Kansas City. You can select Eagles Mini if you think Saquon is just going to run wild on you, brother, and the Eagles blow KC out of the water. Or you can select Eagles Few if you think it's going to come down to like a goal line push on 4th down with a second left to go, the most dramatic of endings. Text your choice: Chiefs Mini, Chiefs Few, Eagles Mini, or Eagles Few to 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. Text Eagles Mini, Eagles Few, Chiefs Mini, or Chiefs Few. We will tabulate your votes by the end of the day. All right, couple more bits of sound I want to get up in here. Kelly Stafford is the wife of Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is, of course, the quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams had a better season than many people expected. Well, a couple of days ago, the LA Rams, Cooper Kupp, or I guess I should say soon to be former LA Rams Cooper Kupp, announced on social media that the Rams had informed him that they were seeking a trade for the young, not so young, over 30-year-old wide receiver who has been with the team for, I believe, 8 years now. They told Cooper Kupp, "You're out, bud. We had a good run. We'll always be fond of the memories, but good luck in your future endeavors." Well, Matt Stafford's wife, Kelly, has a podcast called The Morning After Pod that she does. Matt's regularly a co-host / guest, I guess, whatever he is. She, Lonzo, had some feelings.
I honestly wasn't planning on discussing this, but hell, why not? My husband, wants to win. He's not trying to put a team in a bad situation. If you're catching my drift, you're catching my drift. I will say that the trading away of Cooper, I guess I'm just I'm confused because we were one play away from going to the NFC Championship. And I think if we go, we win. I have to be the dog in the situation, being like, I want the respect for him that he deserves. Yes, I love the city of LA. I love the city of LA. With that being said, I love an adventure.
Ooh, you know, when I listened to this the first time, when she was talking about the trade of Cooper, and she's like, listen, Matt is never going to put the team in a bad situation, if you know what I'm saying, which is effectively saying Matt hates it, but he's never going to come out and say anything publicly because it would be detrimental and it would make it look like the quarterback and the team were feuding, and you can't have that and all be on the same page. I get it. There's a part of me that's like, look, if Matt said, yeah, honey, go ahead and do your podcast and whatever you want to say, I don't care, then sure, I guess it's between them. Okay? I guess it's between them. I do find more so than the opinion on the trade of Cooper Kupp, I find that last line very interesting where she said, I love the city of LA. I really do. But with that being said, I'm up for an adventure, which definitely makes it sound like Matt Stafford would say, hey, if you're going to start trading away my guys, then I want out.
It's funny because you said that, and because the government and the algorithms are listening immediately, a Rams thing popped up on my X feed. It says Rams star quarterback Matthew Stafford is projected to sign a new 3-year, $150 million contract extension with $100 million guaranteed. Stafford has only $4 million guaranteed over the next 2 years. Vikings, Giants, Steelers are expected to have trade interest.
And I think that is the reason.
All right. She said he wants to win. He ain't going to the Giants.
No, but he could damn sure win with the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
He could damn sure win with the Vikings.
Could probably win with the Steelers.
Could probably win with the Steelers too. I don't disagree.
But the best place to go to would be the Vikings.
100%. 100%. Unless the Vikings.
You'll have to deal with Detroit and Green Bay.
And honestly, Chicago next year with Ben Johnson at the helm.
Yeah, we'll see.
The NFC North is going to be an absolute rocket ship next year, no doubt about it. But the Vikings would also give Matt Stafford easily the best weapons. They made Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins look like stars. They'll make Matt Stafford look like a star. What I find interesting here is this is one of three things. Number one, this is rogue wife who's like, they disrespected my husband and I don't care. I'm saying something. Number two, this is wife who got clearance from Matt, which means Matt also is upset and like, okay, you can be my mouthpiece here. Or number three, this is a strategic move from the Staffords that makes it sound like they are open to the possibility of demanding a trade down the line, which would do what? Make the Rams go, okay, we want you to stay, we're going to up the paycheck.
Which is why I read that.
Yeah.
Because that's what it sounds like to me. They just want more money. I hope that that Cooper Kupp comes to the Carolina Panthers just so you can complain about another old guy being a receiver on the Carolina Panthers.
Well, I'm glad you said that because we're going to be talking in the next segment with Rashad Beard because guess who said, I'm back, baby? Adam Thielen running it back for one more. Thoughts were he might call it a career, but said he still got the itch and he doesn't think taking off is going to shake it. So Adam Thielen's back, which means, as much as I actually really like Cooper Kupp, I've got 2 years of Adam Thielen building with Bryce Young. I'm not getting rid of him for Cooper Kupp. Not happening.
You're saying the two together would not be good in Carolina because I Cooper Kupp. So Cooper Kupp is not.
Cooper Kupp is just a younger, faster Adam Thielen.
So he's not a step up from anybody else that they have other than Adam.
No, because
Thielen.
he's not a number one.
Mm-hmm.
The only position that they are missing right now is an X.
He was number one for a long time.
Yeah,
with the Rams.
Yeah, what were the Rams doing before Puka Nacua came back? What was the Rams' first half of the season? 500 ball club.
I do believe, maybe I'm wrong, Cooper Kupp is a Super Bowl champion. I could be wrong.
Wonderful. What's that do for the Carolina Panthers in 2025?
You're missing the point. I believe he was number one.
Cooper Kupp was not the number one.
Who was?
Puka was. No, not Puka. Not Puka.
No,
not
Puka.
Not Puka. I'll have to go back and look. I don't think. But even if he was, that was 5 years ago, 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's not 30-plus-year-old Cooper Kupp. He ain't the same guy.
This is what I want. This is what I want for an entire season. Having Thielen and
no, you don't, because you want the Panthers to be better.
I actually
so
do.
You don't want that.
And I think they would be better with Cooper Kupp.
No, I don't need two.
Because with Cooper Kupp and Adam Thielen both being out on the field,
hell
you know what you have?
Two guys who can run a 4-yard curl route.
You know what you have? You have two reliable receivers who can catch the ball from a quarterback who's been under fire for a couple years now.
Correct. You know what I don't have? The big play threat that I need. The one thing that's been missing, the big play threat. That's what I still don't have. And I'm tying up all my resources in 32-plus-year-old wide receivers.
Let's see what Rashad thinks.
We will, coming up in the next segment. But before we get there, I'm going to play this clip. This is Eric DeCosta. He's the general manager of the Ravens. I listened to this clip yesterday, and it bothered me so much that I fired off an auto tweet about it because welcome to 2025. That's what you do.
Auto tweet. So
like I got so heated. No, I went
do.
straight to Twitter and was like, rabble.
All right, so you just tweeted. You did.
Yeah, but like I didn't take any time to, you know me. I didn't take any time to like unpack it, think about it. develop a thought out response.
Okay.
I just
auto to me means something totally different. So
I just auto responded sans thought. And last night, as I was going up and down Twitter, this clip came across my my feed again, and I really spent some time thinking about it. I'm going to play this clip from General Manager of the Baltimore Ravens, Eric DeCosta, and I want your knee-jerk reaction.
A lot of other stuff, too, that we use. For instance, Madden ratings. Who would ever think that an NFL team would use Madden ratings in one of their models? Well, we do, giving you just a small piece of what we do. That's fascinating. Yeah. So we have these models that we use, and it spits out grades and values for players, and we use those. And in some cases, we can look back and say, you know what? The model is actually 3% better than our scouts grades in terms of predicting what the player is going to do. 2 or 3%. Crazy.
Eric DeCosta, General Manager of the Baltimore Ravens, just a few weeks after the story broke that the New York Football Jets could have had Jerry Jeudy, a man who went to a very mediocre football team and was one of the few standouts and could have done more, could have been a Jet, could have been with Aaron Rodgers, could have been a weapon, and they passed because the owner of the New York Jets, Woody Johnson, who has accomplished absolutely nothing in his life other than being the right cell ejected from his father and has accomplished nothing else with his life.
You just said my last name.
Woody Johnson, which is what I'm going to call Lonzo now.
No, you said the right cell. Yeah, I mean, I just thought, it's not an often thing. I just want to say really quick, you who are all for robo-refs and all this digital stuff, how are you against this? Because how are the Madden ratings compiled?
You're ahead of me. I'm coming to it. You're ahead of me. Here's where. Woody Johnson said no to Jerry Jeudy because his teenage son said, Dad, his Madden rating sucks. And so I think that's where my very rapid emotional response to why would you say this out loud, Eric DeCosta, General Manager of the Ravens? Why would you say, hey, we use Madden ratings? But then I really sat and I thought about it a little bit, and I came to the realization that, number one, the folks, and I've watched the behind the scenes of this, the folks who put in the work to do the Madden ratings, they take it seriously. Genuinely, they take it seriously. Not from a programming standpoint, from a scouting standpoint, to make sure their stats are good. And I came to the realization that there is a big difference between we utilize Madden ratings as a metric to evaluate players, and we utilize Madden ratings as the metric to evaluate players. Right? Woody Johnson said it was the metric that made us say no. Not, we didn't think he'd fit, bad chemistry, never seen Aaron Rodgers before, yada, yada, yada. He just said, Madden ratings weren't good enough, we're out. DeCosta's saying, hey, look, it's a part of the formula. And when it's part of the formula and you're utilizing all that scouting that went into this by EA, I actually think that's a good thing. So I owe an apology to Eric DeCosta for my random tweet yesterday saying, hey, maybe don't say this out loud, dummy. I take it back. I get it. You are using it as part of the system versus Woody Johnson, who is, and I've done the research, there's a scientific term for it, dumb. Rashad Beard is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. He joins us to talk a little silver and black football, and we'll get his thoughts on the Super Bowl coming up next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, stepping away for just a minute to get Rashad dialed up. We will be right back. Don't go
Because you thought the same thing I did when I said Post Malone. Like, yeah, I don't know if I want food related with that.
Cigarette ash and Bud Lights.
Post Malone Oreos. You in, Rashad?
What are we talking about here?
Post Malone Oreos. Swirled salted caramel and shortbread flavored cream.
That sounds rather tasty. I'm not.
It does. It does.
Yeah, that sounds pretty.
Not what I thought Posty would have gone with, but I don't know what I do think he would have
gone with. You should look up
with.
the packaging too. The packaging is pretty cool. I don't know. It's just weird. But yeah, I'll definitely try it.
Not bad at all. Sounds good.
The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Ordinarily joins us on Thursdays, but he's a working man, ladies and gentlemen. He's out there hustling, trying to make the paper, trying to get the bag. So he had to push this off till Friday, but still kind enough to come by and spend some time talking football. The host of the Panther Nation podcast, my guy, Rashad Beard, in the house. What's up, big fella?
What's going on, man? I'm feeling good. Well, I'm not feeling so great, man. The NFL honors, no Panthers in the Hall of Fame, got me a little down. I'm not going to lie. It got me a little down.
Yeah, I think Zoe and I, we talked about this earlier in the show, and I kind of want your thoughts on it. I think Luke Kuechly is absolutely Hall of Fame caliber. I'm not fighting that. But I also know that the folks in charge of the HOF, they want to protect that first ballot Hall of Famer label, right? Like the first ballot Hall of Famer is like the Hall of Fame of Hall of Famers, I think. And I think even though it was a good decision, even though at least but I think all of us supported Luke Kuechly's decision to walk away, and for the reason that he did it, I think if Luke Kuechly had like 4 or 5 more years in the league playing at that level, he would have been a first ballot guy. But because his career was shortened, fair or not, I think that was the Hall of Fame just protecting that first ballot Hall of Fame label.
Yeah. I just think that, Luke he should be rewarded for making that decision to cut his career early. He obviously dealing with the concussions. I saw one of the scariest things I've ever seen on the field when he collapsed. It's really, really scary back in the day. And so, man, he's a great player, one of the greatest probably the greatest middle linebacker of all time, dare I say. And he should be in the Hall of Fame. This class is cool. Shout out to Jared Allen, former Panther. I know he's a longtime Viking, but he did play for the Panthers when we went to the Super Bowl in 2015.
He's also a Chief. So
I don't remember that. I don't remember.
Yeah,
that.
he was.
I don't remember that.
But since I also root for the Panthers, he started his career with the Chiefs and ended it with the Panthers. I was okay with that.
Yeah, he great. Jared Allen's a good guy, and again was on that Super Bowl squad back in 2015. So I don't want to take anything away from Jared Allen. Glad that he got in, well deserved. But Luke Kuechly should absolutely be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I get what you're saying, Rob, but I don't like it. I know he will get in eventually. Same with Smitty. Smitty deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I understand it. The wide receivers, you got to wait. I get it. He should also be in. Triple Crown winner. You should be in the Hall of Fame. And so now got Greg Olsen coming up next. I don't know, debatable there, but shout out to all my Panthers finally getting an opportunity to cement some legacies in the Hall of Fame, and I'm excited for it.
Who gets in first out of those 3?
Oh, Luke absolutely is getting in first. I think Smitty's going to have to wait a little bit. That's just the name of the game for the wide receivers. It's unfortunate. I believe he's the greatest Panther of all time, and should act. I see he's right there over my shoulder right here. He's always watching me when I'm potting. So I believe he's the greatest Panther of all time. Should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. He's just going to have to wait on it, unfortunately. That wide receiver position is loaded. It's backloaded. They got to wait a long time, and so he'll get in eventually, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. Wholeheartedly. Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the show. Go ahead and either nip this in the bud for me, Rashad, or go ahead and gas Lonzo up so I got to deal with him for the back 2 hours of the show and my day. Cooper Kupp on the block. Lonzo's out here campaigning for the Panthers to go make a move to bring Cooper Kupp, partner him up with XL and Xavier Legette. XL and Adam Thielen, who announced yesterday he's coming back. That's not the move for me. You've already got Cooper Kupp in Adam Thielen, so unless you're moving him, I don't see the move for that. You got two of the same old white guy receivers there. I think you're better served to still work on going to find that over-the-top number one. That's not the move.
Yeah, I like Kupp. I think he's very talented. I just don't think he's the best fit for the Panthers and what we're trying to do. I think we need to get younger at the wide receiver position. I think you got Adam Thielen getting ready to after every season he's talking about retiring. And Kupp is he hasn't. When is the last time he played a full season? Right, he's always banged up. Not really. That's not what I'm looking for, man. I want us to get younger, more talented, and I like Kupp a lot though. I think the Chiefs maybe should go after him, man. What do you think about that?
By the way, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But if you think of the progression that Bryce Young had near the end of the season, when he was continually improving, you give him another veteran receiver who actually catches the ball. And you're right, he gets hurt a lot. But when he's out there, he's reliable. You throw the ball at him, he's going to catch the ball. And you sprinkle in some rookies around him. This is not a long-term thing. This is just a short-term thing to help with Bryce's confidence. And then you have two guys out there for sure in Thielen and Cooper Kupp who are going to catch the ball every time.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still against it. That wasn't enough for me. So you got a little bit stronger argument. Maybe I would have flipped my mind, but that's not it, man. I got guys like Jalen Coker, who can catch the football. He's one of the ones that can actually catch. So let him develop. You know what I mean? And I think we're going to be active in free agency. I think we can do better than Cooper Kupp when we're talking about adding veteran talent to this wide receiver room.
What if the Panthers don't and they end up with Cooper Kupp?
I mean, of course, then if he's a Panther, then I'm going to support him.
That's
how it is.
I'm not saying like he's a consolation. I'm just saying he's also not a scrub.
No,
and I get he's older, but again, reliability. I think you want to continue Bryce Young's continuing confidence that he's getting, and I think adding another short-handed receiver would help.
Yeah, I agree. Really quick, I don't want to short sell Cooper Kupp's talent because he is talented. I just think we can do better than a Cooper Kupp if we're aiming to get better. Let's go get really better and not just a consolation prize for Cooper Kupp just because he's available. Let's go get. Yeah, thank you. Go get T. Higgins. Go get Garrett Wilson. Go really get better, and then let's talk. I don't want to just settle for.
By the way, both those guys would be awesome for the Panthers, but do they want to come there? That's the thing.
Yes, I think they will. The tide is turning in Carolina. Guys are going to want to come. You have a quarterback now. Things are changing. We're not the Saints. I mean, people are going to want to come.
I'm trying to be nice right now, Rashad. It's unnecessary. It's unnecessarily entirely.
I can continue the interview if you like.
Oh,
you just,
God. All right. Let's get to other things. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Bryce Young was on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams the other day, did an interview, which, by the way, if you haven't seen the whole thing, phenomenal sit down, like this kid a lot, but was asked about his relationship with Dan Morgan as the general manager, says that he has a, quote, very open line of communication, end quote, went on to say, quote, he's always asking me stuff. He wants me to send him things and give my opinion, which I'm super grateful for. I'm not saying that we didn't have that with Fitterer in his time as GM, Rashad Beard, but you didn't have that with Scott Fitterer in GM. You didn't have guys coming out and going, we got communication, we're talking, we're interacting, whatever. I might just be optimistic in all this, but it feels to me like the front office's relationship with the players is different. And as long as this is the BY that's out there and out front, I kind of feel like you're trending the right direction.
Yeah, and that's the positive you get when you have a player's a GM that's a former player, right? When you have a GM that can actually relate to your plight and understand your struggles, that's a huge plus. And Dan Morgan, he's a very open guy. He seems to be very like, all right, I'm telling the truth. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, this is what it is. You know what I mean? And for him to have that open line of communication with Morgan is great because guess what? Bryce knows what he needs to be successful, right? So if he's actually taken into account what Bryce's opinion is on what he needs, that's a great thing. And it appears, and again, it's early. We're only in year one going into year two into this thing, but it appears that everybody seems to be on the same page with this thing. So I like Dan Morgan. I like what he's been doing. I think we still need to see what his drafts are going to look like. But I love the interview, and I think that all the good things were said, and I don't expect anything less from Bryce Young.
I don't disagree with that at all. By the way, he was also on the Dan Patrick show yesterday, and that was a good one too. I think for me, and I know like even in the off season, Bryce Young is dominating the conversation about the Panthers, which makes sense. It's quarterback league unless you're the Philadelphia Eagles with Saquon Barkley, but there ain't but one of those guys. I think the fact that not just are the Cats sending Bryce Young out there as the face of the program, but he's going out there, he's being a good ambassador. But more than that, Rashad Beard, when he talks about the team, it feels genuine. It feels like he's being straight up legit. That seems to be who Bryce Young has been all these years. And it just feels like overwhelming positivity as opposed to, coached positivity, forced positivity, whatever. Like I said, I'm probably being a silver lining optimist here, but the way that this guy is talking about the team, talking about Morgan, talking about Canales, talking about the development of the franchise, and being so genuine about it, man, I'm bought in right now.
Well, I think Bryce is rather polished. He's not one of those guys who's going to go out there and just, vomit at the mouth regarding the Panthers and say bad things. He's not that guy, right? He's very polished. He's very intentional in what he says publicly. He's not going to say anything disparaging. You're never going to hear Bryce Young say anything negative. So I take some of that with a grain of salt. He's just being himself, obviously, but at the same time, it's very polished. And there's nothing wrong with that. I want to be clear. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't look to Bryce Young for these groundbreaking, these moments where he's spilling the tea and he's saying these things, because he's not going to do that. But it is good to hear. It's good to hear your quarterback be a beacon of light for your team and put that franchise on his back as he's going out there publicly speaking. We haven't had that around here in a long time since, i.e., Cam Newton. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Good things to have. A good thing to have in Bryce Young, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy that his turnaround is he's able to go out there and talk about his turnaround, and because it was great. It's the greatest turnaround of all time in a single season.
Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. He is the host of the Panther Nation podcast. Usually joins us on Thursday, kind enough to give us some time on Friday. All right, big fella, can't let you out of here without talking about the Super Bowl down in New Orleans. And I know that last year when we got to this point, it was when we got the incredible clip of certified hater mode because you just refused to say anything about anybody that's not Carolina. And I respect it. All right. I respect the passion. That being said,
that's not what he did. He rooted for Kansas City, and he mentioned Swifties a couple of times. You're leaving that part out. I don't know why you're doing that.
To protect Rashad's image. Who you got?
Yeah, you mischaracterized certified hater mode. Certified hater mode is cheering against any former Carolina Panther. That's what I did, right? So I was very strategic in my hate actions. Okay, this year, there is nobody to hate against. Harrison Butker gets a pass. You know what I mean? He's a kicker. He gets a pass. This year, I can freely watch the Super Bowl and just enjoy. And I don't really have a choice in the matter. Do I have an opinion on who's going to win? Yeah, I do think the Chiefs are going to win it. I think the Chiefs are going to go out there and beat the Eagles. I don't think I think if you slow down Saquon a little bit, I think they're going to have some troubles. I know Hurts is capable, but I think if you slow down Saquon just a tad, and Mahomes is him. You know what I mean? I think Mahomes is always going to find a way, no matter what, no matter the situation. You got Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to pull it out. Three-peat. Shout out to the Chiefs.
Who's the MVP? Mahomes?
Absolutely. Who else?
That's what I said. I don't see how anybody. I mean, listen, if they get a three-peat and he's that guy and he's the face of the league, and I don't think the only offensive player I think that could win it that's not Mahomes would be Kareem Hunt, but he's going to have to go for like $175 and 3 tutties if he's going to take it away. If Mahomes has 220 and a couple of touchdown passes, he's winning this thing.
And shout out to the Chiefs defense. I don't think they get enough credit. Obviously, you got Patrick Mahomes, who's one of the greatest of all time already early into his career. But the Chiefs defense is really, really good. And I think that it's going to be a challenge for them to slow down Saquon, but they're going to do their part. And obviously, Patrick Mahomes is going to get all the glory because it's a quarterback league, right? But that defense is really good. And I think it's going to be, a tough challenge to slow down Saquon, but they got to make it happen.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say George Karlaftis wins the MVP.
Bro, he's
Super
like 29-1.
I'm not
saying that's
have
not.
Have you seen how he's been playing?
I also have Rashad Beard.
Several sacks.
I also have a bet on both defenses to score a touchdown, which pays out. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I think everybody's locked in on Mahomes, everybody's locked in on Hurts, and we're pretending like these aren't two of the top 4 defenses in the NFL slugging it out against each other.
Very true. Eagles defense is very good as well. So it's going to be a good matchup. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be very good, a good watch, especially for me since I don't have to cheer against any former Carolina fan.
Certified hater mode. How hard does Kendrick go in on Drake at the halftime show?
Oh, it's going to be a bloodbath, man. Kendrick Lamar, it's that matchup might be better than the game.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, can you answer the question of that last person of the Rob Smith?
Guys, real quick, my wife is calling me. I gotta
see you, buddy.
Okay, see you.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on that. Later on, that's Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. He joins us on Thursdays. I'm gonna go ahead and take him off the stream so we don't have to listen to him talk to his wife too. Because I'm a good friend like that, Rashad. I wouldn't just start slinging bleep at you in the middle of an interview. That would be rude. Who would do such a thing?
Well, now I have to check if Kendrick Lamar is actually taller than Bryce Young because I am curious. Listen. Someone on the stream asked that question.
Listen, I once had a guy from Arizona tell me that Bryce Young's 6'9".
Yeah. Well, But still, that will go down in my memory forever.
Final hour of the show is all Super Bowl licks coverage. Lonzo and I are giving you our final scores and predictions, give you our MVP picks, give you our rundown of the game, front to back, top to left, up and down, bottom to top. And that's coming up in the final hour after Lonzo does the sports flash.
Wow. Deontay says Bryce is taller. How short is Kendrick Lamar? The NFL handed out its season awards last night and announced its 2025 Hall of Fame class. The Most Valuable Player award went to Bills quarterback Josh Allen, whatever. While Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell won Coach of the Year, the Rams' Jared Verse won Defensive Rookie of the Year, while Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels won on the offensive side. Joe Burrow is the Comeback Player of the Year. Saquon Barkley, who should have been the MVP, is Offensive Player of the Year. And Patrick Surtain II is Defensive Player of the Year. Tight end Antonio Gates. Hey, listen, I didn't like him because he played for the Chargers. Cornerback Eric Allen, defensive end Jared Allen, and wide receiver Sterling Sharp headlined the smallest Hall of Fame class since 2005. Make sure you tune in tomorrow at 4 p.m. as Furman Paladins take on the Chattanooga Mocs. Furman versus Chattanooga right here when you're home for Furman Paladins basketball. A fan, upstate. All right, I'm gonna have to research it because it's now really important to me. Wow. 5-5. So now I'm going to be watching a halftime show and see if Kendrick surrounds himself with shorter people, like what Tom Cruise does in his movies to make himself look taller. So he makes sure that everybody around him is like around the same height. I think Sylvester Stallone does that too. even if the Chiefs do lose this weekend, I'm guessing Taylor Swift will still be okay. She more than likely would be very consoling. By the way, while you were away, we looked it up. To confirm, Kendrick Lamar is 5'5". So
okay, he's 5'5".
Yeah, and so now you also can be watching the halftime show and see if he surrounds himself with shorter people, because that's what Tom Cruise does. That's what Sylvester Stallone does. It's what a bunch of the big name movie guys do. I don't think it matters as much with musicians, does it? Although you probably don't want.
It'll be
you don't
interesting
want to be surrounded by 6'2" dancers.
Right. It'll be interesting if he starts when he starts bringing out whoever he's going to start bringing out. Because like Wayne ain't tall either, but if Wayne comes out and dwarfs him by 4 inches,
didn't he already say he's not coming?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He's probably ticked off, to be honest.
Yeah,
that it ain't his show in New Orleans.
I hated Antonio Gates, but this is strictly from a fan standpoint because they kept comparing him to Tony Gonzalez. Same reason why I hated Shannon Sharp, because to me during that time, Tony Gonzalez was the best tight end in football. And back then, the tight ends didn't like each other, and they actually would beef some and stuff.
Yeah.
Now there's tight end U, and all the guys hang out and everything. So is it better back in the day when there's a lot of hatred, or is it better now when there's camaraderie?
Gates' GOAT tight end. He's on my list. I would say Gates.
By the way, he was great.
He was great.
But Gonzalez was better. And Kelsey's better than all of them. Definitely better than Mr. 69.
Yeah. Final hour of the Rob Brown Show. On a Friday goes now. Final hour of the show is all about Super Bowl licks going down this weekend in New Orleans, Louisiana. The Eagles trying to prevent the Kansas City Chiefs from becoming the first team in the history of the National Football League to three-peat. The Kansas City Chiefs trying to enshrine themselves even further in the annals of NFL history. So let's talk about it. Let me start with a question to the listening audience, to the Armada, to the folks that are joining us on the live stream, and to the great one, Lonzo, a man of the people, and see what he thinks. Just about every conversation that has gone down about the Eagles so far has featured one of two people. Jalen Carter on the defensive side of the football, Saquon Barkley on the offensive side of the football. We have talked about Jalen Hurts. It is circled back around to Saquon Barkley. We have talked about the Eagles' defensive backfield, which is very good, but I have credited that in large part to Jalen Carter, to Josh Sweat, to the edge rushers of the Eagles' defensive front seven. Here is my question. does it come across as lazy to lean on those people? Does it come across as lazy that it feels like every Eagles discussion circles back around to Saquon and circles back around primarily to Jalen Carter, but to the Eagles defensive front seven? Does it sound like, when those conversations continue returning to those guys, does it sound like it is lazy analysis? And the reason I ask you is this, because on one hand, I get that that's problematic for me. If you are tuning into this program looking for excellent Super Bowl licks coverage, I will begin by saying you're absolutely getting it. But if you tune in and you listen and you go, hey, every time they talk Eagles, they talk Saquon and Jalen Carter, how lazy is this guy? That is problematic for me. Yet, great one, I make the argument that I don't think you have a choice. Because I think that's what this Super Bowl is about, honestly. Like, to me, the Chiefs are going to do what the Chiefs are going to do. The Chiefs are going to do what the Chiefs have done all year long. On the offensive side of the ball, they're not this year. They're not explosive.
They haven't been.
They don't have to be.
Yeah, they haven't been for sure. Doesn't mean they're not capable of it. They just haven't been. They haven't had to be.
They haven't had to be. So the Chiefs, now, will they? Can they? Let's start with this, because we have talked about the fact that I believe, but I think we believe that the Chiefs coming into the 2024 season, it just felt as if the playoffs were an inevitability for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, they're going. The question is, would anybody compete in the division? And the answer always felt like no. I mean, the Broncos didn't feel like a threat, although they ended up being better than at least I thought they were going to be under Captain Checkdown Bo Nix, who, by the way, was up for a Rookie of the Year award last night. Of course, they're never going to win it because Jayden Daniels is him. But they were better than I thought. And even being better than I thought, dramatically better than I thought, they weren't competition. There was a question mark about whether the LA Chargers under Jim Harbaugh in year one would be competition. And they were better than I thought. J.K. Dobbins was a comeback player of the year finalist last year. Justin Herbert, statistically speaking, had an excellent year up until the playoffs. They weren't a competition. And then there's the Raiders. And then there's the Raiders. So no. That being said, the question mark was anybody going to compete in the division, or were they just locked in? And would they be a 1 seed? Not would they get in, but where would they get in? And therefore, I think the Chiefs were kind of able to never have to really go full afterburner. Never have to get deep into the bag, never have to break out anything fancy. It's not to say that they didn't occasionally throw a trick play out there with a Xavier Worthy with the talent, or lean in every now and then on developing some Kelsey passing patterns to kind of keep him in the loop. But they never really had to get explosive. And so therefore, I think it's a fair question to say, if the Philadelphia Eagles can keep this a very close game late into the game, does there come a point where the Chiefs go, okay, they're hanging around, they're going score for score, or perhaps more impactful, they're not going score for score, nobody is scoring. It's a low-scoring game. I'm going under. I lock the, I am waiting to lock in the under until kickoff because, again, I think the casual bettors are going to drive that total up to closer to 50. It was opened at 49.5. It dropped to 48.5. So if you want the over, if you want the over, grab it now because it is going to go up on Sunday. If you want the under, wait it out with me, because I do think it is going to go up by Sunday. So, to me, this could end up being a very low score game. And my question mark is at this point, if it is indeed a fourth quarter, low scoring game, a lot of field goals, maybe lots of punts, which is a possibility. By the way, I do believe the Chiefs have the edge in the punt game for what that's worth. If it comes down to that, and they're having a hard time finding the end zone, can the Chiefs be explosive? Something they haven't had to do and therefore haven't done all year. And I've heard a lot of people say, it's because they aren't explosive this year. I don't know. I don't know if they have it in them because we haven't seen it, but I also don't think there have been too many spots where they've had to be, because I think even in the games that were one-score games in the fourth quarter, which were most of them, it feels like, even in those one-score games, very few of them, maybe like 2 or 3, did I have that game on in the Bro Cave and go, Chiefs are in trouble. It just always felt like, no, they're going to do just enough. It's what they do.
This was, I think, one of the best coaching seasons Andy Reid has ever done, because they lost all their big-name receivers when they in the first few weeks. They lost Pacheco. They lost their offense. All that was left was Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. And then they bring in Kareem Hunt, who was on the couch. They start bringing in guys because people want to come there and they want to play. If you remember, Hollywood Brown wasn't playing because he got injured in preseason. I think the offense did what it had to do to win. The defense carried the team because the entire offense was hurt. They had to shuffle their offensive line because they were hurt or injured. Near the end of the season, they started getting people back. This is the best the Chiefs have been physically since before week 1, since preseason. They've gotten stronger. They've gotten better. They've learned how to win with all their most of their big names down. And now I've just checked because I was curious. Sky Moore still on the injured, but they could bring him back this week. I don't know if they've done that yet or if it's too late, but he's the only one on the injured, not the injured reserve, but on injured list,
report.
The injured list for the Chiefs. Everybody else is kind of, it's downgraded to hurt, but not, not questionable or anything. So the Chiefs have managed to get better every single week without their big guys. Then those guys came in and instantly were integrated into all that. This is the best Chiefs team they've had in a while.
It's the healthiest Chiefs team.
I think it's the best they've had in a while.
I mean, best is fine if we are talking on paper. There is also obviously.
I'm talking about talent-wise.
You think this Chiefs team talent-wise is on par with the?
Yes, I think it's better than the last couple for sure.
Better than the Tyreek Chiefs?
That's one guy they're missing. One guy.
I'm talking about overall.
And what did Tyreek do when he went other places? He didn't do anything. Okay. So, and they replaced him, even though they weren't supposed to be able to do anything without him. And they won the Super Bowl last year. He's like a distant memory. This is the best Chiefs team that I've seen.
I don't know that I can go with you on that. I can go with you on this is the best the Chiefs roster has been this year because, as you pointed out, everybody's back. Everybody's healthy. Everybody seems to be good to go.
On the other teams that they won the Super Bowl with, why were they better?
I just think you had more talent at different positions.
But like who? Honey Badger isn't there. They've lost a couple of defenders, but then they brought along rookies who have done just as well.
I'm not saying it's like clear cut. I'm not saying it's like, definitely the 2022
I am
squad
not
was better.
trying to be combative, and I'm not trying to be over the top.
Well, you are, okay?
Okay. Well, I'm not. To me, this is the best Chiefs team.
Fair enough. Okay.
It doesn't mean they'll win Sunday, but it is the best, and especially the best this season.
I will certainly, I'll be willing to, for the sake of the fact that it is still this season, we can address it as the best it's been this season, because this season's all that matters. Okay. So with this team being all that matters so far this year, my take right now would be this. The Chiefs have not been explosive offensively at any point this season. That is why Patrick Mahomes was not up for any awards last night. The question mark is that because they can't be? Or is that because they haven't felt the need to be? And I don't think it's unfair to say none of us know the answer to that question.
I think it's a little bit of both, especially early on. I think it was that's what they had to do to win because of all the injuries. And a lot of other teams with all those injuries, they're done. And you think about what a big part of the offense Isaiah Pacheco was. And he goes down and it's like, oh no. I mean, at least for me, I'm thinking, oh man, they are in trouble. And they go and get Kareem Hunt. And he had the kind of season he had. He didn't have 1,000 yards. I think he had like 768 or something like that. But still, that's pretty good.
Not disagreeing. Again, I think it is. I think it is. And this is what we do on the show. So it obviously makes sense. We can speculate on the answer of, is it because the Chiefs never had to be explosive? Is it because the Chiefs, due to the injuries, could not be explosive? Or is it that the Chiefs never felt the need to be explosive? All right,
let me ask. Are the Eagles explosive on offense?
Saquon Barkley's explosive on offense.
See? And what are the Chiefs?
The answer is yes. Saquon Barkley averages like 45 yards a touchdown.
And the Chiefs have went back by necessity or because they want to. They've been more of a running team and a dink and dunk team. So they're not going to look like an explosive offense because that's not how they're playing.
Right. But
they haven't had to.
My point here is, and that is the question that I'm asking. Is the failure of the Chiefs to score 30 points in a game one time on the season, is that because they couldn't be explosive, didn't want to be explosive, never had to be explosive? And I don't know the answer to that. Nobody knows the answer to that.
And also a couple of those games, if I recall correctly, which I might not because I'm old, they had a chance to score a little more late and they didn't.
Sure.
They just kind of kneel it down and let the game go.
I mean, in the wins where, yeah, they got to 24, but, because they are a defensive team without a doubt, they were holding teams to 10. Yeah, there's no need for that. But there were some close games on that docket. I go back to the Atlanta game, a game that I will say you won because of a missed call. Flat out, unquestioned, not a question. I don't hear an argument there. You got away with one.
I am curious,
in the last play of that game.
Did any other team this season have a missed call that helped them win a game?
As Chris Sims said yesterday, no other team's playing this weekend, so I don't care. Okay? I don't care. You got away with one in Atlanta. Flat out got away with one in Atlanta. That wasn't a superstar call. It was just an absolutely pathetic missed call. That's the first one that comes to my brain, and I remember that because I hate the Atlanta Falcons with a fire of 1,000 suns, and even I was like, you kind of got screwed in that one, all right? So, the question that
they won due to a block field goal. I mean, they won a bunch of different ways.
Look, I don't disagree.
But don't you want to be that team that knows how to win a bunch of different ways?
I'm giving you credit for that. Well, okay. I don't know that I'm handing you credit for winning because a kicker doinked. They lost, right? You were in a position to lose that game and should have lost that game.
For sure.
You didn't gut out a win against Atlanta. You got handed a win against Atlanta. That's just a flat out fact.
I'm just not going to agree. It's not a flat out fact.
It's a flat out fact. It was a missed DPI. When I come to the defense of the Falcons.
Yeah, there are missed calls all over the place.
I don't disagree with that.
You are just being selective to make it look like that's the reason why they won.
No, that is the reason they won.
Nope.
That's a touchdown.
Nope.
That's a bona fide, certified, guaranteed touchdown. All of that being said, the question mark remains. If the Eagle defense and if the Eagle offense behind Saquon Barkley is right there with the Chiefs, hell, let's say in the fourth quarter, the Eagles have a one-score lead with 4 minutes to play, and it's a 75-yard drive to score. Can the Chiefs come up with explosive plays when they need to? Because we haven't really seen it yet. All right, we'll talk more Super Bowl when we come back. Your calls are welcome at 844-326-3663. So are your texts. The text poll is up. Chiefs, many, Chiefs, few, Eagles, many, Eagles, few. Who you got in Super Bowl licks? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. More rock reggae. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I will only risk one.
I vote we just change the tone of the song to rock reggae. I don't think that's going to go over.
Hopefully he's not watching. I will add.
That doesn't work for me,
I
brother.
will add things on occasion just to see if I get in trouble for them. Got to test your boundaries. You're not necessarily going against rules because there's an understanding.
Hey, I heard bass, I heard drums, I heard guitar.
And that fits this show more than probably any other show in the building. So yeah, the thing is, James, that wouldn't be considered an explosive play. An explosive play, I mean, what is an explosive play? Isn't that subjective? Isn't that an opinion? How many yards are involved in an explosive play? I don't know. So James brings up Mahomes breaking out a run for 20, 30 yards, something like it. Is that an explosive play? Can you define an explosive play to me? Because I think it's subjective and I think it's an opinion. Or do you have actual yards that you
statistical definition of an explosive play as the NFL tracks them is a run of 10 or more yards or a pass of 20 or more yards. Let's see here. I'm trying to find the exact form. I read a handful of days ago. Part of the reason I brought this conversation up was I read a couple of days ago that you can almost annually track playoff success with explosive play rate. Teams that have higher explosive play rates are usually the teams that can at least make the playoffs. Now, the significance and importance of the rate decreases once you're in the playoffs, but that's also because most of the teams in the playoffs have an explosive play rate.
Cole was texting me, so
you're good.
He was being self-deprecating, and I complimented him, and then he said, and after I picked the Eagles, and I said it's okay to be wrong as long as you sound good doing it, because he's going to be wrong. Rah.
Been called worse, buddy. Been called worse. All right. We were talking during the break. Buddy. I got to get the Pauly Shore. Buddy.
That one's not sarcastic, though. I mean, this one is sarcastic.
Buddy.
This one more fits the usage of the word on this show.
We were talking during the break on our live stream, which you can join at facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, search and subscribe, or the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'd love to have you. We do all 4 hours of the show live. We were talking about the...
By the way, shout out to P1 Cole. We really appreciate you listening.
Shout out to P1 Cole. What a dog. What a guy. What a bro. We were talking about the concept of the explosive play. The context of the question was the Chiefs were not an explosive team. And Lonzo said, all right, I feel like it's subjective. Can you define an explosive play? And the answer is yes, for the way that the statistic of explosive play rate is tracked. An explosive play in the NFL is considered a run of over 10 yards or a pass of over 20 yards. And I don't have the exact numbers in front of me.
So is that net, or is that so if you pass for 5 yards but it goes for 20?
That's an explosive play.
Okay.
Yes. That's an explosive play. So I don't have the numbers in front of me. I had them the other day and I looked during the break and I can't find where I put the numbers. I've lost my marbles. But I looked up the correlation of explosive play rates to rates of teams making the playoffs. And usually, not always, usually there's a pretty strong correlation between overall explosive play rate and playoff appearances. Not success in, but appearances in the playoffs. Let me give you a couple of numbers this year as far as the concept of the explosive plays and where these teams actually rate. Because I got to tell you, one of these numbers was somewhat surprising to me. The other one, not as much. When it comes to explosive plays in the run game, these are runs of 10 yards or more. And I do want you to keep in mind when we discuss these numbers that this is percentage of plays that result in an explosive play, which means that if you are a team that primarily rushes the ball, means you're likely going to have more plays per game than teams that, are passing and have a lot of 3 and outs, but have a higher explosive pass rate. It can kind of skew the statistics a little bit, but I do think explosive play rate, that is the average number of plays that you run that are considered explosive, is somewhat an indicator of how good your offense is. In the pass game, the explosive pass rate, the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams were tied for average explosive pass rate at 11%. At 10%, New England, Seattle, Cincinnati, Minnesota, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, and Las Vegas all had a 10% explosive. Now, this is rounded. It's like 9.9, 9.7, 9.6, but all kind of in the same realm as far as explosive plays. I will also point out, for the sake of making sure that, because I think when you deal in numbers, making sure that all of the data, information, and variables are there. Sorry, that is absolutely correct. But hey, if you're going to diagnose football from a I know ball perspective, you kind of got to be a nerd a little bit, okay? That's just how the game works. One of the things that you must keep in mind when you do this, especially when you talk about teams like New England and the Las Vegas Raiders, for instance, these are teams that are regularly playing from behind in the fourth quarter. Why would so many bad teams show up in the explosive pass play rate? The answer is because for many of them, they are playing from behind in the fourth quarter. If you are playing from behind in the fourth quarter, not only are you throwing the ball primarily, but you are throwing the ball looking for chunks of yardage at a time. You have taken non-explosive plays out of the playbook at that point. You're pretty much exclusively looking for explosive plays, A, and B, the number of plays that you run is going to drop, meaning that you're throwing late in games and in mini games. You are throwing everything to be an explosive play and the number of plays that you run drops dramatically. So by default, your explosive play pass rate is not going to be as good of an indicator as your overall explosive play rate or your rushing explosive play rate. But Philadelphia explosive pass rate, 10%, Kansas City's 9%, but also with a dramatically lower number of plays run. So for all the talk that we've had about explosive plays, Kansas City and Philadelphia in the pass game are pretty close to each other in terms of explosivity. But I would chalk that up to Patrick Mahomes versus Jalen Hurts, more so than the team versus the team. Because even if you are getting the best version of Jalen Hurts, which is a pretty good quarterback, I'm not putting him in the great category, but a pretty good quarterback, he's just not a quarterback that looks for explosive plays. He's a quarterback that wants to throw the quick underneath stuff. He wants to find A.J. Brown on the 7-yard in and let him work his yak daddy magic. And if it's not there, he's the guy that's going to take off and run until either he finds the underneath route or he just takes it himself. I think the explosive run rate is a little bit more interesting in terms of the importance here. The Philadelphia Eagles ran the ball 567 times. Their explosive play rate was 15%. The Kansas City Chiefs ran the ball 503 times. Sorry. I'm looking at old numbers. The explosive play rate for the Eagles on the ground was 15%. The explosive play rate for the Chiefs was closer to 9%, which means that out of any given 10 plays, the Eagles are going to have a 10-yard run. The Chiefs are going to have a 10-yard run effectively like once out of every 17 plays. Now you're talking in a Super Bowl, you're probably looking at 60 to 80 plays, depending on how it works out. If those numbers hold up in that spot, that means the Eagles are going to have the opportunity for something to the tune of 8 to 10 runs of 10 yards or more. The Chiefs are looking at it more like 4 to 5 runs of 10 yards or more. The setup says that the Philadelphia Eagles offense should have more success. But you have to flip it over on the defensive side as well in terms of defensive explosive plays allowed. In that category, and this is why I say, on paper, we don't play the game on paper. On paper, the Eagles win this game. On paper, it's a better roster. On paper, statistically, they have better stats. Everything on paper says the Chiefs win. In terms of defensive explosive plays allowed, the Chiefs and the Eagles are eerily similar. They both allow explosive plays at a clip of less than 7%. That means less than 1 out of 10 plays allowed by both teams is an explosive play. They limit offenses from gaining big chunks of yardage at a time. So it's a level playing field on defense, which means we can dial in on the offense. And offensively, the Philadelphia Eagles have been a more explosive, when defined as explosive plays, runs of 10 yards or longer, passes of 20 yards or longer. The Eagles have been the more explosive team in both aspects of the game. On paper, the Eagles win the football game. My question is, and that goes back to my question from the last segment, which is, are the Chiefs incapable of being explosive? They are just a grounded out team, and that's just what they're going to become, hell or high water. Or have they held themselves back from being explosive this year? Because the rate's just not there. And the reason I ask that question is this. We had Hayton Asmaria on the show. He said a key to the game was, I talked with, though we didn't have him on the air this week, I did a segment on Denton Day's show a couple of days ago. We had the same conversation. He had the same agreement with Mario. Brad Evans and Ryan Horvat on BetMGM tonight both had the same concept. All of us have agreed on one thing, and it is this. If the Eagles want to win this game, they've got to get up early, even if it's one score. If they want to win this game, they need to, if they get the ball first, they need to score on the opening play, or excuse me, on the opening drive. If they get the ball second, they have to match if Kansas City scores, preferably outdo whatever. Because what they have to have happen is they have to stay out front of a slugfest and create a game in which the Chiefs have their backs against the wall late and have their backs against the wall late in a situation where they must create explosive plays. They can't be in a spot where there's 4 minutes left, the Eagles are up 7, the Chiefs need 70 yards, because in a 4-minute offense, they can dink and dunk their way down the field. They can grind Kareem. Mahomes can do Mahomes things. They can dink and dunk their way down the field. And they are, whether you think it's because of the refs or not, they are the most successful clutch fourth quarter team in the NFL for 5 years in a row now. But if there's a situation where the Chiefs are down 10 with 4 minutes to play and they have to score twice, or they're down 7, but there's a minute and a half left to play and they got a minute and a half to go 75 yards. Now they have to be explosive. They have to pick up chunks, which is something that they haven't done this year. Whether it's because they can't or they haven't had to, we will find out in the fourth quarter, but the Eagles need to grab a lead early, and hold that lead to push Kansas City against the wall and make them be explosive. If they can, they're winning the Super Bowl. If they can't, the Eagles got a shot. When we come back, Lonzo and I go on the record with our Super Bowl licks picks. That's next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Stop being so needy, Kane. We can't respond to everything.
No. Well, okay. In fairness, one of the questions you asked was, who are the people downstairs and what is wrong with them? How would you like me to answer that question, Kane?
Yeah, I mean,
how would you like me to answer the question, who are the people downstairs and what is wrong with them? Because the people downstairs, they watch the stream.
Yeah, I don't care. You're not the only one that hasn't been addressed. When Rob was doing his thing, he can't just suddenly go, oh, let's stop what I'm doing and look at the stream. Being addressed right now? I mean, come on.
I got you, dog. You're P1. I got you. But I can't ask the question, or I can't answer the question, what's wrong with my bosses who sign my paychecks? Nothing. They're amazing. I love them. They're perfect in every way, shape, and form. And if I haven't said, very, very handsome.
Love the wardrobe, too. The wardrobe's very...
I will say I do like Steve's wardrobe.
Yeah.
Steve's big into the over-the-top floral pattern shirts. And the only thing that frustrates me about it is...
It's nostalgic. At least
I can't roll up in here now wearing over-the-top floral pattern shirts without looking like a kiss ass. But, Steve, you're amazing, and I love your shirts.
No one would ever think that of you.
No. Because I'm not one.
Didn't say you were.
My baby takes the morning train.
Are you okay?
No.
You just started singing Sheena Easton. And it took me a moment to remember her name. I was a big Sheena Easton fan until she got mixed up with Prince, and then she just totally changed who she was after that. Then she was singing about her sugar walls.
9 to 5, and then he takes another home again to find me waiting. Okay, there's a reason. That song was in the movie Euro Trip, and Diesel sent me an Instagram reel this morning from Euro Trip with that song in it, and it's been stuck in my head ever since.
I would say, oh, isn't that sweet? But that's kind of weird.
No, it's not. I told you. What did I say yesterday? The ultimate mark of being bros is sharing social media posts with each other. You and I do it too. It's just on Twitter. Diesel's on Instagram.
I have the Instagram. I just don't use it.
Exactly.
Because for me, the Instagram's for pictures.
Here we go. The final segment of the radio broadcast goes now. Rob the Great One Lonzo.
Aren't you glad I'm not that guy? That guy who would be playing, how about those Chiefs over and over again? Because I could be doing that right now.
You could, but
Yeah.
I don't think you're the guy who does it pregame. I think you're the guy who does it postgame with a dub.
I will.
And for the record, so am I. I do not talk bleep pregame. I talk it postgame.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I believe the team's going to win. We're going to pick here in a minute. I've obviously, you know what I'm going to pick. But am I nervous about it? Absolutely, I'm nervous about it. And normally, watching Chiefs game, I'm not nervous because of this entire season but it's the Super Bowl. It's totally different.
Let's go with this, Great One. Let's begin our official picks, Licks Picks segment. Oh, that was right there the whole time? I could have been saying Licks Picks the whole time.
Wow.
Send us your Licks Picks. We love a good Licks Picks on the text line.
No. Well, they can't send pictures on the text line, so we're good.
We love a good Licks Picks. All right, send us all your Licks Picks.
No, and stop.
I want the people to participate.
Do you want pictures of dudes like licking a football? Is that what you want?
No, it's Super Bowl licks. I want their Licks Picks. All right? Send us your Licks Picks to 844-326-3663. We're looking for your Licks Picks. So, Lonzo, over the course of 3 broadcasting hours on the Fan Upstate, we received 140 unique votes in our poll. Who you got? You had 4 options. Chiefs by a lot, Chiefs by a few, Eagles by a lot, or Eagles by a few. We got 140 responses on the text line. Here's how they broke down. Great one. 2 votes for Chiefs by a lot. Out of 140, 2 votes for Chiefs by a lot. Out of 140, 89 of them said Chiefs by a few. We had 30 for Eagles by a few, and the rest were for Eagles by a lot. So the overwhelming the overwhelming majority of you who voted on our text poll this AM said that Chiefs by a few is the most likely outcome. And that seems to be the common consensus right now, is that it's and I'm talking about I was looking this morning and ESPN had compiled all of their personalities picks into one list. and then they broke them down by those who picked the Chiefs and then put them in descending order of totals in scores. And
hey, would you bring me one of those back?
Beignet from Café Du
It
Monde?
probably wouldn't be that good. If it's been a couple days.
you eat them when you order them, or you don't eat them.
Okay, because I'm never going to make it there to actually eat a genuine one.
You should.
Eh,
New Orleans, Louisiana, baby.
it doesn't appeal to me. So because it's all about the party, and we know that I don't
it's
do
not.
that sort of thing.
That is the unfortunate.
It's also all about the beads.
Misconception.
Yeah.
The beads are for Mardi Gras. That ends
Okay.
March 6th, and then they go away for a year.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're like prevalent in the cultural images, but
Also, not a voodoo guy. So I mean,
again, it turns out, and I know this for a fact, you do not have to practice voodoo to visit New Orleans. You can just go there and enjoy one of America's great cultural landmarks and centers, of which it definitely is. So the overwhelming majority of America is picking the Chiefs, and they are picking the Chiefs by a little, by within or right at the spread. Okay. So here's our final lines on the game. The total in this game is at 48.5 points as of today. I have told you a couple of times, I believe that number is going to be closer to, and I think at this point, I'm going to land on an even 50 by the time that we kick off. I am holding off, and I am playing. If it gets to 50, I will play the under in the game. I will consider a 49.5. I'd rather have the 50 in the push in play. But right now it's 48.5. The Chiefs are favored by 1.5 points. They are -1.5 favorite, -120 on the money line, -105 on the spread. The juice on the line of +1.5 to the Eagles is at -115. So what they are saying with the Chiefs being -105 at -1.5 and the Eagles being +1.5 is that it is more likely that the Eagles cover +1.5 than the Chiefs cover -1.5. That's not an outright win, because remember, a 1-point Chiefs win would still be an Eagles spread winner. So the belief in Vegas is that the Eagles will at least be within 1 point of the Kansas City Chiefs, if not outright win it, on the money line, which means just betting the outright winner. The Chiefs are -120. The Eagles are even money, which means to me that even though, Lonzo, I think there is a very good chance this is absolutely a 1-point game. I think it's a very good chance this is a 1-point game. Even if this is a 1-point game, my suggestion would be, if you think the Chiefs are going to win, go ahead and take the -105 and risk the 0.5 point doing you in. If you believe the Eagles are going to win, go ahead, or are going to win the game, go ahead and take the money line at even money. Zoe, it is time to go on the record and show our licks picks.
Okay, so I do believe that there's going to be a lot of running in this game, and it's going to go by pretty quick. And that's not self-serving. I really think that it's going to go by pretty quick. My final score is the Chiefs 28, the Eagles 24.
28-24.
And of course, the Chiefs win on a go-ahead touchdown with like 20 seconds left in the game.
Is there controversy?
I hope so. I really do hope so.
Lonzo wants to come in here and
I would love that they won that they score a touchdown, but there's a missed call. Yeah, I want that to happen. Just so all the people who are saying it's the refs thing. So I want more fuel for them. Because what else are they going to do the rest of the year?
What else are they going to do the rest of the year?
Give them at least a couple more weeks of being able to hate, and then they'll have to go find something else to do.
If they hate, then let them hate and watch the money pile up. 50 cents. Okay, so Lonzo's going 28-24. The Kansas City Chiefs cover the spread and the over hits in this game. The over hits, according to the great one, with a total of 52. That would be the over even, I think, after the casual drive of the money up. Zoe, I am going to ride with you on this one in a Kansas City win. However, I am going with a lower total, and I am going with a closer game. I am going to go the Kansas City Chiefs win this game 17-14 when it's all said and done. I think this is a low-scoring, defensively driven game. I agree with you that it is going to be a run-heavy game on both sides of the football, and I agree with you that this may be the fastest Super Bowl of all time. Genuinely, this might be the fastest the Super Bowl's ever played, at least in the modern era of football. I think this Super Bowl could genuinely check in. And I'm not including like halftime show and commercials and all that, but I think this Super Bowl, in terms of actual minutes of broadcasted gameplay, I think the Super Bowl could be like under 2 hours. I think they fly through this game because I think both teams are going to run the ball 30 times.
I think it's going to be. What do you mean we're at halftime already? Yeah. I think somebody's going to have to go grab Kendrick Lamar off the bus and be like, "Hey, bud, it's time." Zoe, the MVP of Super Bowl licks will be. All right. So I said it earlier. I'm going to say it again. I mean, it's easy to go with Patrick Mahomes. It's easy to go with Saquon Barkley if it's on that side. I'm going to go with George Karlaftis. I think he is really stood out, especially in the playoffs, and I think he's due for an even bigger game. And I think Jalen Hurts needs to look out.
It's a long shot bet, buddy. It's a long shot bet.
I mean, all the attention is going to be on someone else.
Listen,
someone else named Chris.
That's not unfair. I really don't have an issue with that pick. I am going to go chalk here. I am going to say it's Patrick Mahomes. Listen, the NFL has made Patrick Mahomes the face of the league. That's not a question mark. That is a statement. If the Kansas City Chiefs win, even if it's a low-scoring game, 17-14, Mahomes is going to do something special because that's Mahomes. Mahomes doing something special is going to become your one shining moment montage of the three-peat. And considering Mahomes is the face of the league at a point in time where somebody in the league is doing something nobody in the league's ever done before, they got to make the face the face. Patrick Mahomes is your MVP. Zoe's going 28-24 Kansas City. I'm going 17-14 in a low-scoring game. He's got George Karlaftis. I've got Patrick Mahomes as your MVP. We'll break it down on Monday.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time to hit this thing really quick. The first thing that's Xing is Gamecocks.
Really? I do know that the Gamecocks got another way. Golly, that basketball team improved dramatically from their win over, and of course, I'm talking about the women's team. Their win over Auburn was kind of ugly down the stretch. They went into Georgia and just, or I should say, Georgia came into Columbia and got punked by the Gamecocks. I don't know if that's why they're trending.
That's not why. The NFL's latest Hall of Famer is the very first Gamecock to go into the NFL Hall of Fame, and that would be Sterling Sharp.
Yes, Sterling Sharp getting in as one of the 4 members. Sterling Sharp, remember, was a legacy nominee. He didn't get in on the old school ballot. He had to get in as a legacy member, but Sterling Sharp goes in and is the first South Carolina Gamecock in. How about that? Congrats to Sterling Sharp.
All right, trying to figure out where to go here. Do I want to make you angry or do I want to make you laugh?
Who cares?
All right, let's go with the next thing that's Xing is big balls.
I could take so many stabs in the dark, but I feel like they would just make Lonzo uncomfortable. So,
well, any more uncomfortable than me saying that on the air?
Fair.
Or actually clicking it?
It's because
I clicked it. It's like,
it's because look at you with the risky click.
Do I do this or not?
The risk it, click it. It is because AC/DC has re-released one of the greatest songs of all time.
No, it has to do with it's a character from South Park, and it has to do with Elon Musk. It doesn't. I mean,
noted video game cheater, Elon Musk.
Yeah, well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, I guess. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Canelo Alvarez.
Okay, I actually know why this one's trending. It is because yesterday, for about 10 minutes, Rob Brown was about to pay for a Jake Paul fight because he was going to get in with Canelo Alvarez. Listen, I'm going to say this. And the fight's off, by the way. Alvarez
No,
booked
it's not.
it. Yes, it is.
No,
They called it off this morning. Canelo Alvarez has booked a real fight. So unless they've rebooked that fight in the last hour, that fight's off.
I thought it was still excellent and still happening.
Canelo Alvarez and Jake Paul agreed to a fight. That fight was on for about 2 hours, and then Alvarez got an actual boxing fight for an actual boxing title and walked out of the Jake Paul fight. Or Jake Paul just lied and said they had agreement to get attention. Either way, I was going to watch that fight, and I'll tell you why. Because one of two things was going to happen.
You're finally going to get what you wanted.
One of two things was going to happen. Either A, I was going to finally get what I wanted, and Canelo Alvarez would have destroyed Jake Paul. Not beat. I mean, possibly put that man into a special kind of hospital. Or it would have been a competitive fight, and I would have, and I'm not being sarcastic, I would never have watched boxing again until it got back to what it used to be. I would have been done with a sport that I have loved for 40 years.
Wow, not yet.
Not yet.
I don't think you loved
It's
it out
because
of the womb,
Canelo
but maybe you
Alvarez
did.
went, I can actually fight a real boxing match. Okay.
All right, and the final thing that is Xing, and it's appropriate, rigged.
The people has spoken. I'm just saying the NFL better make a damn sure.
When I looked it up, it showed the NFL, it showed the NBA, and it showed politics. So you pick whichever one you want.
That's also fair. NFL better make damn sure the officiating is as close to perfect as it can be on Sunday.
Go Chiefs.
On Sunday, we'll find out. Hey, that's it for us. Enjoy Super Bowl licks, everybody. We'll see you back here Monday to break the whole thing down, top to bottom, left to right, up and down. Have a wonderful weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you with the face. See you back here Monday to do it all over again, but better on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
Hell no. Yuck.
By the way, Kane, I was just joking. We appreciate you listening. Sometimes my delivery sometimes comes a little more harsh than that's intentional.
You guys, I can't film in our office because he just sits back there and screams at me.
You've only heard me scream once, I think, and that was during D&D, and it scared everyone half to death. It was well worth it, though. By the way, I screamed this morning because this is stream exclusive. I'm walking down the steps. It's very dark. I had a rake leaning against the stairs. And, well, no, thank God that didn't happen because I wouldn't be here right now. But it fell in front of me, and I screamed. I did. It was a jump scare you would not have recovered from. It took me a while. I had to listen to Piano in the Dark and stuff like that on the way in to calm my chest still is sore. It scared me that bad because every dream you've ever had of a horror film of a hand reaching out, it fell perfectly right in front of me. And I thought it was a hand. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is how I go. And it was like there were like 3 steps left. So I probably wouldn't have hurt myself too bad, but it got me good.
Like Sideshow Bob. All right, y'all. I got a jet because my home Wi-Fi is messed up and my wife's trying to work from home, so I get to go help her out. Thanks for being here. You're all wonderful people. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich in payments. Enjoy the Super Bowl. See you back here on Monday to break it all down.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.